Dogface. Dogface. I'm the dude.
One minute, dude.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fight!
There we are.
Hey,
And
dudes.
here we are. There we go.
It's Tuesday night. Time to pay the dues. The dudes' dues.
What it do?
Give the dude their dues.
Right. I was telling Marcus earlier, Ben, about the time that you and my other friend Ben touched beards, because I wanted to see if it would open a portal into different universes.
Is that the changing face of
You're
masculinity?
muted, brother.
His wife also is named Christy, also much shorter. He also has he's even more red than I am. And we traded shirts and everything. Yeah.
I had told him that too, but thank you for the corroboration, because now he knows I'm not just telling stories for telling stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the one that I have that says the dog father is the one I got from him, and then he took my Punisher hoodie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the deal with the Punisher? Is that a scary symbol? Is that just a comic book?
Well, despite it's super interesting that cops and the jackboot people are the ones that have decided to co-opt the Punisher symbol, because the origins of the Punisher was that those jackboot. Well, thank you, Droid. What's up, brother? That those jackboot people were above the law, and the Punisher went after those particular people, the ones above the law that the system wouldn't go after. So it's a super interesting thing that they've decided that they're the Punishers.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the way that it's now you see like thin blue line Punisher flags.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys do you just not read?
Yeah.
Is that it? Like, you're like, oh, that's a kick-ass logo. Dude, freaking that's cultural appropriation as far as
I know the Hollywood Punisher. I know the Hollywood Punisher. They're like, oh, well, we'll make it that he's going after the Mexican cartel and stuff. Like that's not what it was about. Like
it's Frank Castle, right?
Yeah.
The Punisher.
Yeah. Like the Mexican cartel already has people going after them legitimately. Like they completely just shit the whole story down the tubes. But I mean, how is that any different than when you hear Fortunate Son played during a military movie? Like,
yeah.
Hollywood. What can Hollywood do with media to spin it around and confuse the message? And
what can Hollywood do to media spin?
Apologize. Did you guys ever see a movie called The Big Green?
No.
Disney movie with some redheaded freckled kid, and the movie poster was the soccer ball hitting the kid in the balls. So he's like spread eagle, and the soccer ball is hitting him in the balls, and that's the movie poster. Like a redhead kid with the soccer ball kicking him in the balls.
Okay.
And that's how Disney marketed a sports movie.
Okay.
So there's a movie called The Living Daylights, starred this English waif called Miriam Dabo. And then she becomes the hot substitute teacher for a small town in Texas.
All right.
That's the way that works out. Typical story.
Right. So it's they're outside of Austin. They're outside the Austin city limits. And these kids they're nothings. They're forgotten. They're the poor, and they're a mixture of men and women, young kids of all ages. It's like junior high to high school in one schoolroom. And the teacher wants to teach them how to play a sport, to think that this competing together would encourage them. This physical fitness would get them to then work together as a team, to then also learn together, to then do, raise their test scores essentially. And the villain in that movie is some guy from some suburb out of Austin, and they're called the Knights, and they dress in black and they have uniforms. And the coach is a IRS officer, essentially. So the whole plot of this movie revolves around a mother who has a son. The son is born legally into the country, but this woman purchases another identity to work and then pay taxes under someone else's Social Security. So the whole plot of the movie revolves around
Anchor baby.
Yes, a Spanish, a Mexican kid who's really good at kicking a soccer ball around, and he's going to win the game for the team, for the league. And the IRS agent decides to find their home and then threaten deportation, and the kid goes on the run. Did I mention Steve Guttenberg's in this movie?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Did you see Steve Guttenberg got interviewed during the whole Malibu fire thing?
He didn't just get rescued. He went around helping other people and was on the news.
And the guy from like KTLA or whatever it was had no idea who he was. It was really freaking funny. What's your name? And he's like, Steve Guttenberg. And he's like, oh, okay. What do you do?
I train cadets at the police academy.
I also have a robot
get
friend.
into arguments with a fella named Tackleberry.
I also have a robot friend I run around with occasionally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So all the plots of these
Yeah,
old
it's been a few
films.
years since Steve Guttenberg was in the culture zeitgeist.
The Simpsons episode where they do the stone cutters.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Freemasons.
Yeah.
One of the lines in it, and they're like, is who made Steve Guttenberg a star? We do. Yeah. And it's just, yes, of course, that guy's like one of the definitions of industry plant. Yeah. No reason you should ever be in a movie with Tom Selleck. No reason whatsoever.
3 men raising a little baby.
That's us.
Is that what we're talking
buddy.
about?
Yeah, that's us. I have questions.
It was not a funny movie.
No, dude, they were all like, okay, I'll give you the first like 2 police academies. Pretty funny. Bobcat Goldthwait.
Oh my god, when he comes out of the gas chamber and he's like, what? And then just turns around and goes back in without the mask. Fucking, oh my god. Oh my god.
Hilarious.
These old, I say old, like 30 to 40-year-old Hollywood pictures depicting different groups of people with the stereotype turned up to 11. That was quite funny. There's a movie with Whoopi Goldberg that Whoopi Goldberg never wanted anyone to see. She did kind of this monologue in an apartment talking on a telephone. Did you see this movie?
Jumpin' Jack Flash?
It's called The Telephone.
No, I did not.
I was like, I've seen Jumpin' Jack Flash. I don't recall that part of it.
Okay.
That's the Sam Elliott, right? Where they're selling the drugs,
Mm-hmm.
the cocaine, or the cut drugs, or whatever drug it was that was killing everybody.
So Whoopi Goldberg sits alone in her apartment.
They finally, with fentanyl, made it. Mm-hmm. They've been telling us that a drug would instantly make you a uber addict and kill you the first time you walked by a user. Finally, with fentanyl, they got it. I'm sorry, Marcus. Continue.
No, that's fine. I needed to know that detail to that movie that I haven't seen yet. But by cultural osmosis, I've absorbed all the relevant information about culture and how men and women should behave and what is appropriate and inappropriate just through these movies. And with this movie called The Telephone, directed by Rip Torn, and I think Henry Nielsen was working on this as well. So this movie was a huge flop. Didn't even want to release it. But it's basically Whoopi Goldberg as a one-woman sitting in an apartment doing all these impersonations of different people. So she lives in this apartment. Her only connection to the world is through a landline telephone that she paints zebra stripes on. And she's just talking to people. And then, spoiler to the end of the movie, the telephone guy comes in to tell her she has to pay a $500 deductible, and she hasn't paid her bill, and her phone was connected 2 months ago. So he's just there to take the hardware. He's just there to take the phone away from her. So she is so attached to
$500 in the 80s. Holy shit!
I mean, that might as well be 3 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes. So even in the 80s, the humor of women attached to their cell phones or any phone, they're always needing to talk and communicate. But then the humor, I guess, or the dark humor at the end of the reveal of the movie is the phone was never connected all along. So she's only been talking to herself and having conversations with herself and playing up all these stereotypical characters where she has, the Rasta character, she has a German character, she has all these different characters, and it's just this one woman making the most racist stereotypes, but we're laughing.
Where was this timeline in her career? Is this like
was it
stand-up comedian?
Was it Ted Danson and blackface part of her career?
I think this is before she did the children's movies.
Okay.
Right. Well, I kind of caught that, but is this more toward when she was still a stand-up, or is this more toward when she was Hollywood?
This is more like Eddie Murphy. We can be adults. We can use crass language. And then she cleaned herself up to be
closer to when she was
Sister
actually
Act.
stand-up.
Yes, before Sister Act. Correct. Yeah.
Oh man, which is really like the soul plane of 80s movies. It's just terrible.
Right.
Absolutely
right.
terrible.
So you could go back, to the 70s, and then you might have, magazines and newspaper articles. But now, today, where everyone is posting everything online, there really are no secrets anymore. And these people are encouraged to be public facing and post things. Mm-hmm. So you look at someone like Claire Grimes, who is she made some music. Some people thought it was interesting music for a time, and then she hooked up with Elon.
Right.
Yes.
Das uns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the point of this is, how are these people even taken seriously, and how is Elon Musk in the White House standing behind the president, dressed in all black, explaining to the president how they're having difficulty forcing government employees to retire because all the papers are stored in a mountain that was a mine that they drilled out, and the speed of collecting the papers is the speed of the elevator, and if the elevator breaks down, they have to repair the elevator before anybody can go down or retrieve any documents.
I hope Elon Musk and you never get into a room. You'll never leave the fucking thing, and nobody else in the world will understand the conversation. You two will just be saying words.
That's funny.
Maybe we'll talk about Dune.
Maybe
the dangers of reading Dune at the wrong age, not being able to understand Dune, but just understanding what the words mean, but not understanding the concepts.
A song called "Kill versus Maim in Predictive Programming of Masked People." Huh.
Yeah, she's a weirdo, dude. She was on with the MIT robot spook, Lex Friedman.
Yeah.
A while back, and she was talking about how we've evolved into a new species called like Homo Techno or something like that.
Yeah, we played that song on Weaving Spiders. It was the idea of the gay robot takeover, the homo robots, where everyone's going to be, where all the robots.
Why you gotta be homo? What the fuck?
Because it's
like, it's not bad enough being a robot. You got to be why you got to go homo robot? I mean, once you're out of a human body, why do we even have to deal with this?
Right? No, that's fair. That's fair. Well, and if you've been the like surrogate vessel for Elon Musk's progeny,
is that who this is?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
We're talking about a
Is
woman
this the
who
lady that
has
had the kid with the
children.
number? Like its name's like E3CU or something
That's
like
the one.
that?
Yeah, yeah,
Right,
yeah. The
right.
fucking R2D2 whatever. Yeah.
I remember
Grimes,
that.
it's been reported that Grimes could not feed herself. She ate spaghetti and red sauce for every meal for a long period of time and had health issues because of that.
I bet.
Well, you can only eat nightshades so many
Yeah.
meals a day.
Those tomatoes are eventually going to make you pretty irregular, man. They are. Like
So
Guy
this
Clark
is-
said,
so
there's
this is
nothing
the
like
fertile
homegrown
woman.
tomatoes, but
This-
you do that sparingly.
Yeah,
You
and this
do.
is the fertile woman that connected with Elon Musk and had children. Maybe there was some IVF involved. Who knows?
That doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah, nobody will actually come out and say whether or not they banged Elon, regardless of whether or not they have a child with him. Like, there's never been, and that we live in the era where people put all of that stuff out there. So I would imagine there's significant non-disclosure agreements involved in this.
Yeah.
I'm about to sign an NDA for the first time in my life.
Does it
It
involve
might-
you raising Elon's children?
No, it involves beef, though.
Oh,
It
okay.
does. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like a
Who you
fight?
got beef with?
Apparently a lot of people, but none of them have the fucking stones to come on this show.
That's a fucking fact. That's a goddamn fact. We're gonna change. We should damn near change the name to Behind the Woodshed, and ain't a motherfucker wanting to come back here.
Mm-mm. I'm for it. I could do some good graphic design with that. I could. Have fun with that.
Uncle Ted's cabin?
But yeah. No, the NDA is through the beef initiative because I'm going to be partial to trade secrets and stuff like that. So
Like, yeah, we killed the cow. Then we cut it up into pieces. It's a cow.
Texas Slim is making moves, man.
Is there
Yeah.
a secret recipe? Are you guys,
Yeah.
going to compete
Yeah.
against KFC?
We've got
Secret recipes.
14 herbs and spices.
Secret sauces.
Not 13, not 12, 14. Just like the General's fried chicken and Undercover Brother.
Are you guys giving those heifers the electrolytes they need?
Right? Yeah, they get the Brondo. They do. It was the Brondo fed heifer. Yeah.
What's interesting is my cows, for all that they go on about how they feed them grains to fatten them up quick and all that. My cows, when they were heifers, I got told by numerous people that that I needed to quit grain feeding them and all that. And because my cows were too fat, and I was like, I've never given my cows grain. They're fed orchard grass. And so I keep them. I know, right? Like thank you, Shelly. I appreciate it. Damn near need to just restart the fucking YouTube channel because once we go to monetize.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah. New name. Bye. Mine are only fed good quality orchard grass, and then I give them mineral supplements and things like that. What's up, Corrine? But they are definitely very heavy cows. They're not skinny. They look fat as shit. You can barely tell when they're pregnant. So I find that super interesting. I think other people are giving, I've got 2 red heifers.
He does 3. Yeah. They are, in fact, red heifers. Yeah. Don't tell the Jays. They're gonna come invade the farm.
Yeah, any small hats that come, we will find out that I would much rather eat one of them than one of them heifers. So
so I think what's happening here, all of the cattle abductions have just been Martians, and they're replacing their cattle on Mars. So these red cows are really from Mars because red is the color of Mars, and these cows are red, so they belong we need to bring them back to their homeland, which is Mars and our destiny in space.
Right. So in fairness, no, because they're Scottish Highland cows. They're not. We need to reclaim.
Do you guys ever
the
watch
third temple kind.
DuckTales?
Of course.
DuckTales. Woo!
So Scrooge McDuck. Now,
Life is like a hurricane. All right, it is.
In Duckburg, he's the guy who's the philanthropist. Greed is good, and he is Scottish and on top of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And his job is to go to all of the countries and collect all the treasure and bring it back to Duckburg.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the heroes. These are the heroes in the Disney show.
Yeah, I always preferred the Animaniacs to DuckTales. I would rather rock with Yakko, Wacko, and Dot.
Steve's a few years younger than I am. The Animaniacs missed me. I was had into pussy by that point in time.
Oh, there was a
it
joke
nicked
about
me,
fingering
but
Prince.
it's great. Yeah, yes, fingering Prince. Yeah,
The
fingerprint.
fingerprints joke in Animaniacs is quite classic.
They're great. And Tom Lehrer, who is like one of my favorite musicians of all fucking time, did a number of the different songs for not just Animaniacs, but like the PBS Electric Company and a couple other like kid shows and stuff like that. Yeah. The States and Capitals song and the Countries of the World song and all that stuff from Animaniacs is all Tom Lehrer.
I'm aware of the songs.
And that's some sort of high level of intelligence and rewatchability as you
They did the
learn
periodic
through the show.
table of elements song on Animaniacs.
Right.
And that's
right.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess I want to ask you guys the question now, do some Fourth Reich archaeology here to figure out how we got into this situation as white gentlemen who have to take a little bit of responsibility for
you're all over the place tonight, Marcus.
fascism.
Oh, somebody put 2 quarters in you, and it's everywhere.
2
Where the
Bitcoin.
fuck did we ended up at the Fourth Reich? Jesus Christ.
We went from the Animaniacs to the Fourth Reich on
like,
a
no in
dime,
between either. No in between. Like he's not even smooth with the non sequiturs tonight.
First
he's just
gear,
like,
fuck it, fifth gear.
No, this is 2025.
Yeah.
And we're taking over Canada. So if you're not with us, you're against us.
Man, okay, so I was telling Marcus here before we went on, I got to get the Canadian perspective on the whole 51st state conversation on Union of the Unwanted last night from Darren and Graham from Grimerica.
Oh, yeah, Darren's great. He's actually kind of for it from what I've seen.
He's not kind of for it. He is painting himself red, white, and blue and like trying to turn his pee-pee into an oil rig so that he can
that way we'll invade
the tail for Daddy Donnie. And look, I like these guys. They're friends of mine. You know, it ain't even like that. But it was very interesting, man. It really was. It was very, very illuminating to get that perspective. And you know, the whole time I'm trying to like put myself in the position of someone who's lived in Justin Trudeau's Canada, you know, for as long as they have, and have seen you know, even redneck as shit Alberta get turned into this, you know, base like woke trans hellscape. And I'm like, yeah,
even before that, they were basically a bitch of England. You know, they were like an English fucking offshoot shit colony that, you know,
the Queen is still on their money.
Yeah.
Loons,
you know, she'd come over and collect little native kids occasionally and take them,
bury them behind a school. Yeah.
Do you guys see a lot of Canadian coins in California?
No. Actually, it's kind of odd for me because I'm from South Dakota and we see Canadian coins constantly. Right? I mean, it's not like, you know, 50-50, but if you reach in and you grab a handful of 20 coins, you're probably going to have one. Good chance you're going to have one in there.
Right.
I have a Canadian co-host in T. Snyder.
Yeah, I've got a lot of Canadian friends. We were just talking about this yesterday. Even the whole most Canadians I've seen, and the Canadians, I think, are kind of overrepresented in the podcast world. Yeah, exactly. In Michigan, you'd get them also 100%. I think it's just, proximity to Canada, obviously. But I think Canada's kind of overrepresented in the podcast world, to be honest with you. And I can't think of any of them that are vociferously against it. Not a single one of them.
T. Snyder. That's like it. It's like just T's. It's kind of crazy.
Well, it's putting a lot of pressure on him to defend the borders.
Right? I don't think he's gonna.
We need to talk to Greenland, see what's up with them. Check with them.
Are there ideological borders that Tease is defending, and does he need to join us on a stream sometime?
Yeah, go.
We're a fucking nation. Leave us alone.
Go check out the 8-hour presentation we did called Electrical Alchemy. He's got some ideological borders he's definitely defending, for sure, man. For sure.
I did get through part 2 of that. I gotta see the final part to see where it goes and all comes together. It's just incredible that we're even having a conversation about, hey, maybe we take over Canada.
And Greenland and the Panama Canal and everything else that perfectly lines up with the map of the technate that Elon Musk's grandfather helped create back in the 30s. The concept for. Yeah. And now we've got Elon Musk standing behind the president, dressed like some sort of dork priest.
A little bit like a Sith Lord.
The thing that scares me the most is, and fucking what's disturbing for me is, it's something I would have screamed for years and years. And these fuckers are just the epitome of be careful what you wish for, is the talking about auditing the Fed. And obviously we're all very aware that if the Fed ever gets audited, that's going to collapse the Fed. They're going to find out that nothing they've ever done. I know it's a territory of Denmark. I'm curious what the people of Greenland, all 50,000 of them, think about the talk of America absorbing them, because the Canadians seem to be that, at least all the Canadians I know, are fully down for it, except for one, and it's a substantial amount of Canadians. It's not like I know one or two. I know a ton. So that's real interesting. But I would have absolutely been for auditing the Fed. But in my opinion, especially with Musk in the position that he's in, auditing the Fed and the failure of the Fed audit, which we know would be the next thing, would immediately result into crypto. Where when I was originally screaming it, you would assume that they would have straightened out the monetary system in some way. Well, they're going to say, no, it's unfeasible, it's untenable, we can't do it. And in fact, I could even see them Trump going, we need to take back the power of printing our own money, blah, blah, blah. And actually using that trope, which the libertarians are going to love, in order to push in crypto as the new monetary system. And that's scary as fuck.
We're in an era of acceleration and inversion. So what sounded great 20 years ago in practice at this point is going to be an inversion of that. And you're absolutely correct, man. It's all to push the, digital tokenized USDC or whatever coin, Trump coin or whatever it is, 20 years ago, when we're screaming audit the Fed and in the Fed and all that kind of stuff, we wanted to go back to the gold standard, because there's no example in recorded human history of fiat currency doing anything but failing.
Yeah.
Meaning going to the value of 0.
Yeah.
Not holding the value.
Yeah. No longer holding value. And we're
barrels of money to get a loaf of bread.
Yeah,
that is where fiat money goes.
So the idea of not printing the penny anymore is not about efficiency.
That idea has been tossed around for 20 years.
Sure.
you know,
Right. Well, it does take 3 cents to make one. So
Yeah.
it's retarded on its face,
Yeah.
but again, this is the bait and switch administration.
Yeah.
So we'll give you something that on its face and on the surface makes sense and seems like it's going to be beneficial. And if you try to dig any deeper, then you hate America and puppies and pussy and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So do you guys see this? Because the way I'm seeing it is, this is basically the conservative Roosevelt. What's up, Bingo? This is basically conservative Roosevelt. You look, Roosevelt came in and sold the boomers on a plan that was going to fuck the rest of us, but was going to set them up good. And so during his administration, the only 3-term administration, which they're again talking about the 3-term thing with Trump, and nobody's ever talked about that I recall. Outside of that, Roosevelt was the only one that had that. Roosevelt also wrote fucking near 4,000 executive orders. If you look it up, modern presidents, about 200 to 300 is the average. I think Truman wrote 900, but typical is 200 to 300, whether it's Clinton, it doesn't matter who it is. And you look at Roosevelt, fucking near 4,000 executive orders. Like, that dude was up there just doing whatever the fuck he wanted. And because he was selling us down the river and giving it to the people of the time, they were all about it. Well, I really see a parallel to all of that going on right here, right now.
Who's Roosevelt again? Is he based off of a teddy bear?
Yes. President Ruxpin.
Yeah.
Okay. And then okay. So if I get my history correct, Teddy Roosevelt invented the teddy bear, which then leads on to the Beanie Baby craze in the 90s, which then during the pandemic times, when people were suddenly just leaving this earth and leaving their Beanie Babies to bequeath to their grandchildren, then the value is being redetermined with a new generation. And then the guy who made the Beanie Babies, Ty Warner, had an offshore account in Switzerland and was brought in for tax evasion. Is that the history of our currency in the United States?
Yeah, except now those Beanie Babies are called Ethereum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not aware of where everybody lives in Canada. I know that a couple of them are up in the Winnipeg area. But other than that, I'm not sure where the rest of them are.
Yeah, it's definitely, from what I can tell, it's most of the people in the Western provinces that are raw.
I know that like Curtis Stone and guys like that are pretty for it. Grimerica, the more conservative. I'm not sure which of your provinces are more conservative, but it appears to be the ones that are more country people. They're all about it.
Yeah, and Alberta's a Western province, and it's basically like cold Texas,
right?
As far as that goes, it's where all the ranching is. It's where all the oil fields are and stuff like that. It lots of really lots of overlap and same kind of energy and all that.
So they're snow Texans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes sense.
I'm trying to figure out what the equivalent of that is.
What's the snow Texans?
Right? Like how can we turn that into a slur? How can we do that?
Oh, okay. Could we call up
because we do refer to Canadians that come over here illegally as icebacks or frostbacks or something like that.
Does Whoopi Goldberg have any say in this matter?
I mean, she may. She may. She
You
definitely.
know, I think
knows
she has I think she has a say about on everything. I don't know if anybody fucking cares or listens anymore, but
And yeah, that's been my experience too. There, MS is the Western provinces, much more conservative. You get into, you know, Ontario, all that kind of stuff, and obviously Toronto's cold San Francisco.
What's a conservative? What does that word mean in 2025? Is it the same it meant in Teddy Roosevelt's time?
Conservative in 2025 is a liberal from 1995.
That has like the zero ability to recognize that the government expansion that they're cheering on is highly ironic in light of what conservatism actually is.
Yeah. That somehow very smoothly is what's amazing to me. In such a very short time period, the tech bros went from being all liberals and the liberals loved them to all of a sudden the tech bros are all conservative and the liberals hate them. It's super interesting to me. And the fucked up part is the conservative base is cheering it. They aren't like, oh, hey, when Biden was in power, you were totally banning us and totally fucking us. And now that Biden's not in power, you're just suddenly on our team. And that seems very convenient. Well, what about next election cycle? Are you going to, if the liberals win, are you going to suddenly be like, oh, Trump made me, blah, blah, blah. I was actually trying to suck some LGBT poll. Like, you know, where do you land then? Like, you know, you come back looking like a robot again?
Well, they're legitimate fascists cosplaying as anarcho-capitalists. And people are having a hard time seeing through the ANCAP facade to the dyed-in-the-wool fascism, but that is very, very thinly fucking covered, that lies underneath.
So isn't that the Free State Project, New Hampshire area?
No, because Jeremy Kaufman is significantly more traditionally libertarian and he's not really a big Elon dude. Richard Grove is up there too and a part of that, and there's people involved in the Free State Project that actually see through this shit. The rank and file may not, you know what I mean, but the at least the people that I know that are a part of that, they're not super rah about the whole like Doge thing, or, you know, because again, it's the bait and switch administration. We're gutting USAID while you absorb it into the State Department. So you've just bloated the scope of the State Department.
Well, not including taking most of the savings that they announce and just giving that to fucking Israel straight out
right off the bat. Yeah,
just oh hey, yeah, look, we saved you a bunch of money. Israel, have it. Like fuck you. And I'm Sun Tzu. I am also what most people would consider conservative. No, I wouldn't say that that's a Republican, because I'm definitely not a Republican, but I think most country people are more conservative minded. That's just the way it is. And more city people are more liberal minded. It's just how we live. Like, you know, I don't really see a problem with that. Where I have a problem is the way our government has set itself up, where these cities now have an overwhelming voice, because this is part of why I don't believe in democracy. Democracy made it so all these people in a city, well, now this whole apartment building full of people that don't know anything about anything except for going into an office and pushing buttons and going home, they all get a vote each. And the people up here that are actually doing stuff and being the ones that are providing and making things, those people don't get a say in how that's done. And that's insanity to me. Absolute insanity. Yeah, absolute mob rules, and the mob lives in the city at this point. I'm not down with that at all.
Yeah, it seems like Plato lined all of this out a very long time ago, and nobody read the book because they were like, "We don't like a pedophile, so we're not gonna pay attention to any of this."
Which that is fair.
Yeah.
That is fair.
Yeah. And so it technically on paper, according to the marketing, a long time ago, we were a republic, but there's been a shift in the rhetoric for more than a century.
I would say we quit being a republic as soon as men's suffrage went through, and as soon as they started allowing weak ass men to vote, then the whole system went to shit.
Yeah, I would say that like centralized banking was the death of the republic.
Oh, 100%. Wilson even said at the end of his term that was the greatest mistake that was made in the country's history. I mean, Jackson somehow threw the biggest balls on the planet and the most luck. That guy survived what, like 3 or 4 assassination attempts, real ones?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that guy actually freed us of the central bank, and then freaking Wilson's piece of shit ass fucking put us back in.
Can the AI tell me how many S's are in the word assassin and how many R's are in the word strawberry?
That's where I'm sitting. I would have been a liberal progressive even 30 years ago, anti-government more, and now I'm totally. That's because it's almost like the Christians. They've literally the left wing, or they're like. The Christians have anything that's not Christian is a demon. Anything. Right. It doesn't fucking matter what it is. And that's basically the way the government has become also. Like, the left wing is so fucking wild and out of line that anything that's not that is just conservative. Like, oh, you don't want to freaking have a dude pretending to be a girl shagging his nuts in front of a 5-year-old while reading a story?
Bigot.
Oh, you're obviously a conservative bigot.
That's hateful. Yeah. That's hateful. Zimzer has every right to shave her balls in front of your kid. Fuck.
You know, like I mean, seriously, the number of people for that is tiny. So then that makes the rest of us conservative, and this is part of why they're saying one of the things that they're finding out, especially through the amount of funding that was almost exclusively giving the left-wing media, nobody thinks like that shit. Like only a couple of dumb bitches that were fucking virtue signaling because they thought it was cool fucking ever said that kind of thing. 90% of us never thought that was okay. And it was all manufactured. And they're finding that out, and that so much of that really wild left-wing narrative was manufactured along with the support of it.
Was that coming through funds from USAID? USAID?
Among other places, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about color revolutions in other countries, we're blind to possible color revolutions in our own country?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so the good example of this is the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, right? Formed in the late 60s, early 70s. And by 73 or 75, they were a wholly owned subsidiary of the intelligence community. And for the ensuing 50 plus years, it's just been, that's where like all of these batshit crazy ultra progressive agendas come from, is through the DSA. There's that hilarious video part of it's in Charlie Robinson's intro, of a DSA convention with the giant freaking tranny. Please do not use gendered language. That's the DSA at this point. It's a bunch of fat trannies wearing masks, all trying to freaking either bang each other or bang kids, and that's so far away from anything that they fucking Pernetti or any of that shit. It's just it's crazy. It's crazy, but it's also a captured entity.
During that same time period is when we see, very similar to right now, the where there was a very stark contrast between what the Democrat people wanted and what that party that Steve's talking about decided that their chosen representative was going to be Hubert Humphrey III. And in 67, the people themselves wanted Eugene McCarthy, and then in the next cycle they wanted George McGovern, both of which were anti-war candidates, and the DNC shanked it both times. So all these people that just now with the Bernie thing figured out that the DNC is a private corporation beholden in no way to your vote, that was just a replay of what happened in the late 60s, early 70s, when the parties when the entities that Steve is talking about came in and said, we don't give a fuck what the people want. We're a private thing. We will go ahead and push up rich boy Hubert Humphrey III because that's who we want. And this is how we ended up with Nixon, because then obviously the Democrat voter base was not happy with that, and so then somehow piece of shit Nixon wins. So
remember how like a half an hour ago I mentioned Tom Lehrer. There's a Tom Lehrer song for this. There is. It's called Whatever Became of Hubert.
I wonder how many people here tonight remember Hubert Humphrey. He used to be a senator. From time to time, you read something about him pinning a medal on somebody or making a speech, or every now and then you read something in one of those "Where Are They Now" columns. Whatever became of Deanna Durbin and Hubert Humphrey and so on. This became quite an issue last winter at the time of Winston Churchill's funeral, when President Johnson was too ill to go, and somebody suggested that he send Hubert, and he said, "Hubert who?" And all America was singing, "Whatever became of Hubert? Has anyone heard a thing? Once he shone on his own, now he sits home alone and waits for the phone to ring. Once a fiery liberal spirit, but now when he speaks, he must clear it. Second fiddle's a hard part, I know, when they don't even give you a bow. We must protest this treatment, Hubert, says each newspaper reader. As someone once remarked to Schubert, take us to your leader. Sorry about that. Whatever became of you, Hubert? We miss you, so tell us, please. Are you sad? Are you cross? Are you gathering moss while you wait for the boss to sneeze? Does Lyndon, recalling when he was VP, say, I'll do unto you like they did unto me? Do you dream about staging a coup? Hubert, what happened to you?
Yeah, that's the guy that makes the Werner von Braun song. Yes.
Yep.
Well, at least old Hubert got the Metrodome named after him. You know.
Right. Good job, buddy. Good
It was
job.
a good run for a sports team.
It's real interesting too, because by some weird chance, Hubert, Humphrey, and George McGovern are both from South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly, that particular election cycle, South Dakota was way overrepresented, and it probably only had like 600,000 people at the time at best. The whole state.
Yeah, but a state full of, you know, people who generally have plain speech, straight talking, hard working, freaking bare knuckle brawlers. And that's definitely what they were trying to put forth as, you know, the political face of whatever movement they were pushing. Gomez, no, dude, no.
Yeah, Gomez. Oh man,
What are Gomez's
what
demands
poor
tonight?
Tears going through?
Huh?
I tell you what, poor Tears going through.
Yeah, you did, man. You did. How's he doing?
He's still Dick Trickle.
All right.
Oh,
He's still Dick Trickle. He's gonna have to lose the balls.
Crazy that there was a moment in NASCAR history where there were drivers named Dick Trickle and Harry Gant.
Oh, fucking great. My tech teacher in Votech, his name was Royal Johnson.
All right.
Gomez, not a second dab. Shit, it takes Gomez is from the Fehu Farms dog. It takes him two just to warm up.
Have the whole Adams family over there pretty soon.
Right? We need to get Gomez a Morticia. That's for fucking sure. We do.
That's what Tears telling us too. He's like, just let me get some. I'll be fine.
Right, dude. We were at the little not really park, but like trails, and there were two Burmese mountain dogs, like show dog quality dogs, and one of them was like just about to go into heat, and we just driving by to turn around and park, he caught a whiff and was like, "You let me out of this truck right now."
Yes.
It took every ounce of strength that I had to keep them from locking in. It was why he's ready. He's ready.
He's like, I got the big balls like my dad.
Right?
I need a piece. Holy smoke.
Yeah. Dude. Those would have been some weird looking puppies.
Man,
Pitbull Burmese mountain dog.
When Scotty goes into heat and we keep them apart, it's like it used to be so funny when we had like even an outside door in our house, and so Scotty would be in the one bedroom because remember how our old place used to be two buildings and then we just put a walkway in between them so that it had outside doors. He'd lay at the door and he'd go and just lay and shake at the door like, oh god, just whimper. Oh fuck! Like I need it. Get.
That does reflect the way fathers treat their daughters and their sons differently.
As many kittens as you want to take. Have some cats. Don't get mad at each other. I'm the one being an asshole.
Are we ready to tackle the male loneliness epidemic?
Come give me a home.
It's a full moon with the Valentine's Day approaching.
Sad. Look, make a sad face.
Frown. Oh.
Oh shit.
That's funny.
I'm not even sure today some cat comes in and the cat's fighting with McLickens at the door because they're both outside and they want first place at the door. And this cat's like legit whopping McLickens, just like bam. And I'm like, the fuck? And then it comes in and this cat just starts nagging me. And I finally look at it. I'm like, who the fuck are you?
It's not your cat.
I don't think it's even my cat. I'm like, who the fuck are you? You don't even, do you live here? Who the hell are you?
Is the cat registered on the blockchain?
You know
Does
what?
it have a real
I
ID?
did not check the block. I don't even know how to check the blockchain.
Can we track and trace your animals?
That, you know, I know like maybe like 8 of the cats is cats by name. The rest of them are just come and go.
But the cat didn't have his papers, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I checked his papers. You know, he yelled some liberal things, called me a fascist, and left. I don't know what the fuck.
All right.
There's no character witnesses for these creatures.
No character witnesses at all. They're very big assholes all night.
Don't mind the random screaming. My girl has a 15-year-old daughter, and they all just sound like that.
Girls up until they're about 23 just like hearing themselves scream. It's just a thing. Like when they're like before 10, good luck. They just scream just for no fucking reason constantly.
Yeah,
making all sorts of
I'm learning. I had all boys. It was a brand new experience for me.
I was a 50-50 shooter down the middle there. You know, and in fact, even went girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy. And boys are much easier. But then on the same token, like my boys are all my kids are adults, and the boys don't ever talk to me. They don't give a shit. Where I have a very nice relationship with my oldest daughter, at the very least, her and I talk, very regularly. So while the girls are harder to raise, it's a more rewarding relationship in the end. I feel like, where boys, a son's a son until he takes his wife, and a daughter's your daughter for the rest of your life type thing.
Yeah.
No,
it's about like, because I have, talk to Connor all the fucking time. And I am going to be so bummed when he finally starts getting regular pussy. Like, well, there goes my kid. All right.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, he still likes you, but he's just never going to talk to you. Like, 2 years can go by and they're like, oh, hey, Dad, what's up?
And no news is good news from the adult children, specifically the sons.
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, I never called my dad unless I was like so far assed out that I didn't have anybody else to call. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we out, whenever there was like a family event or something like that, or someplace I had to be, it was sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, now that I'm old, I'll call and check on my dad, just check, see how he's doing. But yeah, for my 20s and 30s, like Steve said, unless you had a reason to talk to your parents, there was no reason to talk to your parents. Like, what the fuck do I want to talk to?
Make sure their life alert system is still connected. If they've fallen and they can't get up, that they have a 800 number to help them.
Yep.
So well, rugged individualism.
The boys, there isn't really as much emotional to it. They're accidental alchemists. I mean, I understand where you're saying they're hard to start because boys are terrors, but it's a physical terror thing. And for myself, because I'm on a farm, you just fucking put them outside. You just put them outside and then watch them torture the animals, and the animals torture them. It's a mutual thing. They just go back and forth with it, and they get all that shit out their system. It's not a problem. And I had to teach Christy at first when that happened. It was hilarious because we even talked about this the other day. There was one day like the boys were chucking big rocks off this cliff because that's what boys do. They're like, oh, I can throw a rock and it'll fall a long ways. Yes. Like that is high entertainment. And it got to the fourth rock and Christy's like, that's enough. And I was like, I'm like, why? Hey, where is the arbitrary? You've decided that that's enough rocks throwing off the cliff. Like, is it hurting anything? It's wearing them out. They're enjoying themselves. Let them fucking do it.
Right? What, you want them full of energy when they come back
Yeah.
inside to your house? You want that? You're signing up for that.
Well, that
Okay,
that
all
was the
right.
big
I'm going to
green
go to
theory.
the store then.
Get the kids out, kick a soccer ball around, and they'll do better overall.
Yeah.
The energy has to go somewhere.
Like, I understand that we all may have grown up a little fucked up, but there is some wisdom to know you don't get to come back inside till the freaking street lights come on or the sun goes down.
Yeah.
No.
We want you worn out before you walk in back in the door.
You
Burn
have one
all
toy
your
and it's called
calories.
outdoors. Go play with your toy. We'll see you at dinner.
My favorite story with the grandson still is fucking because Christy again, she's a city person when we first and when the grandkids came and stayed with us, we hadn't been together that long, and fucking one of them picked up a petrified white dog turd that was like pointed and long. He had that thing held out like a spear.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
he's chasing the other grandson. So I'm off in the field working, and all of a sudden I hear this maniacal screaming, and I turn around to see what the fuck is going on. And one of my grandsons is running for it, screaming like he's getting murdered. The other one's running behind him with that dog turd held out like a spear and cackling. And Christy's running behind the two of them screaming, "Put down the poop! Put down the poop!" Oh God, I just about fell over in the field. It was fucking hilarious.
That's awesome.
Is that a natural way to strengthen the immune system?
Yes.
To build up the terrain theory
Right?
and to
Right?
train fact?
God, them terrain theory guys are a bunch of cowards.
You know who is Dr. Will Trebing, the guy who wrote he wrote Goodbye Germ Theory, which is a very good little short book, really to the point. And when I had a conversation with him, he was like, "Look, I think the whole germ theory, terrain theory conversation is turning into a hell of a psyop."
Yeah.
And he was like, and I literally wrote the book on it, but I mean, looking at it, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And in that middle, you have to be diligent about what you put into your body. And you have to, do some significant research about where your food comes from, what it is, what's in it, how it interacts with your blood type, how your blood type affects your overall, personality, character, health, all that kind of stuff. And there, as much as there are legitimate environmental factors that give you dis-ease, there's things that have been introduced into the ecosystem now that are foreign elements that are also going to give you dis-ease. And so you can't just be like, I'm 100% in this camp or I'm 100% in that camp, because then you're missing significant elements that, while they may appear subtle on the surface, have like long-term and very real effects.
I'd like
So
you to
all
try
or
and reach
nothing
out to
thinking.
him and get him in. That sounds like it'd be a productive conversation.
Yeah, no, I could do that. I got his number. I'll give him a call tomorrow.
Yeah, California contrarian. Amanda doesn't count. I'm not trying to fight with Amanda. Her and I are personal, very good friends. Amanda and I are not going to fight. It's not going to happen.
We've helped Amanda choose karaoke songs, what songs to avoid and what songs would suit
her and
her.
I personally hang out together and go to events and stuff. So no, we're not going to have a knockdown drag out brawl. It's just not going to happen.
It's possible to have different points of view on very specific areas of interest and still be friends and say, you know what, that's your thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can have that. That's fine.
Yeah,
I don't get along.
Yeah. Because but that's
where I stand with it is like this gentleman's talking a little bit is in the middle. I believe the terrain is very important. I'm not
Mhm.
shitting completely on terrain theory and never have. Your terrain is extremely important, but what people don't, and what the terrain theory people are leaving out is horizontal DNA transfer.
Mhm.
Horizontal DNA transfer, what that means is literally every single thing you touch, you transfer DNA with. You're taking that into your system, and your system is making adjustments because of that. And that's a really it's a mechanism of microevolution is what that is. So this is how come we're such environmental masters. We can literally fucking live in any condition, pretty much eat anything. Like, it doesn't matter where you put us, we will survive, and we will then move from surviving to thriving. And that's partially because of this horizontal DNA transfer, where anything that we meet, we start making it, our body starts making adjustments and literally realigning itself in order to suit that new environment.
Oh, go
Go ahead, Steve.
I was say the terrain germ argument reminds me entirely of the whole like nature versus nurture conversation. Like, it's never one or the other, it's always both. And you have to be aware of both if you're going to be able to have a complete picture of it. If you discount one in favor of the other, you're intentionally cutting yourself off from a significant portion of reality.
100% right. Like, if your terrain is fucked, of course you're going to be in bad health. If your terrain is fantastic, but something comes into your system that doesn't jive with your system, of course it's going to make you sick. If it's something you inundate your system with, it's really going to be a problem. This is part of those of us that have traveled to other countries. That's one of the things you figure out right fucking quick. The illnesses that they have in those other countries, you're not used to. The water in that country, you're not used to. The food, all those things require adjustment. And some of those things are a hard adjustment. Sometimes
I was just talking to Tease about this because he's been down in Mexico for a couple of weeks and he's been one sick puppy, you know. And he's like, I know, I'm not even drinking the water. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, do you not realize the food that you're eating is grown in the water that you're not supposed to drink? Like, what do you think they water that food with?
What do you think they boiled your fucking food with, or added when they added water to it? Exactly. It's got bacterias, and I understand, again, the virus terrain theory thing. But for me, one of the big problems here, we'll punch this up and I'll read them off and we'll go through them one by one. So what they use is the Koch postulates.
Yeah.
Is as their big argument. So the Koch postulates are isolation of the microorganism from the diseased tissue. So the microorganism must be consistently present in diseased individuals, but not in healthy ones. Well, understandable a little bit, because then when they say not in healthy ones, there's all kinds of things that we understand in life now that if you have a little bit of it, you can be okay. If you have a lot of it, it's a problem. So just like in gardening, we understand that actually some of the things that we would consider predatory are fine in your garden, and they're actually beneficial in that capacity unless they become dominant. And then it's an overall predatory toward the system, and then that depletes it. Where when it was on a minor predatory, what it does is clean up the cells, clean up the area, all the dead, weak things go away. It helps. Pure culture of the microorganism. The microorganism must be isolated and grown in a pure culture, free from other microorganisms. So the first thing that we can immediately look at is fungi. Fungi don't do that. I can't take a fungi and just make it grow. Can't culture it. I can take a spore, throw it on a dish, put water on it. It doesn't matter. It's not going to do a fucking thing. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It just means that that's not how that shit works. Fungus doesn't have its own carbon body. It requires the carbon body of something else, and then it enters into that thing and impregnates it with itself and almost zombie-like overtakes it. And now that thing's body is its body. It doesn't work like that. So that's a problem. Reintroduction of the microorganism into a healthy host. The pure culture of the microorganism must be inoculated into a healthy and susceptible host, and it must cause the same disease as observed in the original infected individual. Here's where we're going to bring terrain theory back into this. I don't know how that thing is going to affect any given terrain. So maybe your terrain is very susceptible to this kind of thing. As we're finding out, like, only certain people are susceptible to cancer. Only certain people are susceptible to a lot of things. That's just the way the world works. And so you could be taking this microorganism and saying, well, look, it didn't make this guy sick. Maybe that guy's system isn't really have a weakness for that. And even if you put that in there, that guy's system doesn't give a shit. And so you don't know. So, and number 4, re-isolation of the microorganism from the inoculated host. So now you've taken that and you've put that into a host, made this assumption that somehow thrived in that foreign system that is completely different than the last system possibly that you took it out of. And you assume that it lived, thrived, and you're able to take it back out and now re-isolate it. And again, these things might not be able to be seen like that. Straight out. When people think, I think a lot of people, they don't even understand things about like microscopes. Like they think when they say electron microscope, that you can see an electron with it. You fucking can't. You can't see electrons with an electron microscope. It fires electrons at the thing, and then that creates like a shape. Because then now all this out here is electrons, and this thing stands out. You know, it's basically like lighting. And they also have dark light microscopy, you know, just all kinds of them. But we can't see certain things. This is part of why when you're talking about the atomic table of elements, the reason that they put such heavy emphasis on the proton is because it's really the only one we can fucking see. You can see what the other ones, the reaction that happened from the other ones, and you're like, oh shit, look, that happened. No different than I can see a windsock move. I know the wind was there because I saw the windsock move, not because I saw the wind. And so that's the way that works with the other pieces. Only really a proton has any weight to it. We can only really measure a proton. And so same applies, like as above, so below. Well, what if this piece that we're looking at, you really can't see? That doesn't make it non-existent. That just means that I can't fucking see it. So the postulates have a shit ton of problems with them. In order for you to say, you know, I can, and then when you even look at the definition of a virus, it can't replicate outside of a host, just like a mushroom. Well, if it can't replicate outside of a host, how can I fucking isolate it and then have it replicate? That goes against the very basic definition of a virus. What the fuck are you guys even talking about? Did you read what a virus is? When the definition of a virus doesn't fit into the fucking Koch postulates, but the definition says it won't because its very definition doesn't fit? What the fuck?
Well, they changed the definition of vaccine. They changed the definition of herd immunity. They changed the definition of all kinds of things over the last few years. Yeah. So it's, you know, the weaponization of words has become a very different thing than what we'd been familiar with as far as like that phrase being tossed out. Now they're just like, well, fuck it. If we don't like the current reality, we'll just change the definition of the thing, and then we'll make you react to us changing the definition of the thing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in terms of so-called computer viruses. The idea of the simulation, to say that there's something in the real world that is replicated in the digital world, then we'd call that a computer virus. And that is, there's a threat vector and there's precautions we have to take so we don't spread viruses, we don't spread malware or bad ideas. But then they also, and here's where they really get us, we have this belief of the idea of the virality of a thing. So then YouTube begins and social media takes off, and there's this idea that a person can post something and that idea can spread to somebody else who can share it and reshare it and reshare it, so it can, in quotes, go viral, similar to a virus spreading in humans. But now I have to question, was the idea of something online on a network going viral, at what point was that ever a real thing? Or was it just a lab leak from a computer lab where they like this idea and they say, green light, spread that, let that flow, and then suppress everything else? So the idea that there was ever a lonely girl 15 and she went viral, people go back to the original idea of what viral things are, and then that connects to Richard Dawkins and memes. So we have this layer of language established. These pieces were put in place, but they didn't fit what they were describing. And then they took that structure, lifted it up, put it over here, and it fit one-to-one. So what we're seeing is this idea of building the imagination, so Imagineering, like what Disney does, what Hollywood does, the Imagineering idea. Star Trek, flip open, that's a phone communicator. We get that idea, now we can build in the real world. So the idea of building things separately in the past and building a structure of definitions and language that doesn't apply at that moment, but later on is utilized. So it's built in piecemeal in different silos, siloed information, siloed scientists, siloed engineers building different components and pieces of a system of machines separately. That doesn't quite make any sense. It doesn't work. The theory of it doesn't work. It can't be proven, but they can lift that structure, place it on something else, and then put all the pieces together and you have a Voltron. So now you have this super robot thing and it's working and they can understand it. So that's what it feels like 2025 is, with this blitzkrieg of news where all the projects that have been talked about for the last few decades are all being pieced together, and the pieces are greater than the whole thing. So they're throwing out a lot of pieces, executive orders, ideologies, things, and then working backwards. From 2025, we can look backward and say, well, in 2019, we didn't really know what was going on with lab leaks or bat soups or wet markets or any of that stuff, but we can read a Tom Clancy novel and have some ideas about what those words mean. So now,
why would I read a Tom Clancy novel?
Well,
because you're 50 now, and that's what old guys do.
Because the novel's always better than the movie, and you're always going to disagree with the actor chosen.
Mm-hmm.
So you can read the words on the page.
Got to get those Clive Cussler books too.
Right, the Wild West. Yep.
Yuck. Louis L'Amour.
Mm-hmm.
Western books.
Right.
And when am I supposed to develop this really bad taste in reading?
Instead of going for the McMurtry that wrote Lonesome Dove, you should go for the McMurtry that wrote Choctaw Bingo. All right, you should.
I did read the dude that invented SEAL Team 6 and Red Cell. What the fuck's his name?
That's
Richard
Clancy, right?
No, Richard Marcinko.
Oh, okay.
I read Richard Marcinko's book. Just the one that was supposedly the real book that got him thrown in prison for having written, supposedly. That was pretty interesting. But other than that, I was in the Army. I don't really need to read Army books, I guess. I did that shit.
You did your time and got out.
Yeah.
You're not a career military family.
No, everybody in my family, every generation before me was in the military, and a lot of them died in the military. But no, I wasn't no lifer.
Every lifer I know is on their like 4th or 5th wife and spends 100% of their time paying alimony.
Well, you got to do something with that money.
Right? It can't all be Dodge Chargers and whiskey.
Yeah. It's not right.
Toyota T100s and whiskey.
See, did you guys see that Breakfast Club or whatever the fuck had that giant fat chick on there? That wow, that is just amazing. Did you see them roll the couch in for her fucking fat ass?
Okay, so let's go ahead and play it because I played it on AM Wake Up this morning. But there's like the more than the 15-second clip that the big accounts rolled out, there's some insane fucking fat titlement that did you see the like almost 3-minute clip, Ben?
Nah, shoot it. I seen the 15-second thing where they rolled the couch up for her. You're like,
listen to this crazy broad, dude. This is some of the most insane shit.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Hi.
How are you? Hey, Ken. How you, brother? Good. Nice to meet you, Ken.
Yep. It's the only seat y'all got?
What you want? What you need?
A bigger chair or something.
Cause she already little.
We had
That's what I'm talking about. Good. This is the accommodation.
There you go. You know, you walked in and you said the chair was too small, so we had to bring the part of the sectional for you to sit in. And you said something. You said, "This is what I'm talking about: accommodations." Right?
Yes.
But we live in a world that's not always going to be able to accommodate people. That
But
are
we
plus
should,
size.
though. We should because we not all the same. You know.
Mhm.
I feel like we should. Like, why not? I feel like a lot of times people think that bigger people, obese, the F word people should just be in a house. When it's like
The
we
F
not.
word?
Yeah, the F word. I'm not.
You
about
heard
to-
that you can't say in your house.
Yeah.
Fat. You know, like.
Oh.
I'm not saying that word.
Yeah, we don't use that word in my house either.
I thought you were talking about the gay slur. I'm like, wait, I'm confused.
No.
No.
But I just feel like it should be accommodated. Bigger people should be accommodated, just like we accommodate the LGBT community. All those other communities. I just feel like we outside. If we inside is get up. Why you in a house? You should be doing this. You should be doing that. When we outside, it's like, why you not in a house?
Well, people would say,
Who actually told you that? Because like that's crazy. I don't believe that. F people should stay in the house. I mean, but
you can say that.
That's how it is. We go outside and people looking at us crazy, like we getting stared at for what? Because we big.
Yes.
You compared your situation to the LGBTQ, and a lot of people would say, well, LGBTQ people don't have a choice to be gay or whatever, but you have a choice to be plus size.
Mm-hmm.
So they want you to make better choices, eat right, work out, lose the weight.
I feel like I do.
People think
you born gay.
Just don't you start.
Now,
That's a debate right there.
That is, but for most, let's just hypothetically say they're born gay.
I feel like I do. I work on myself, and when I feel like I'm getting too much, I try to fix it, like at my pace.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What do you mean when it's getting too fucking much? What the fuck do you mean? What the fuck?
Bro.
Are you kidding me? I want you, Marcus, please pull up a picture of John Candy.
Was she talking about a horizontal DNA transfer getting too much?
Pull up a picture of John Candy, and let's all recall that this man was considered so fat it was humorous to make fat jokes about this man. Let's go ahead and look at what
But
Very,
we'll get there.
very-
Hang on. I got you, buddy.
You gotta
I
get one
want
of
to
them.
see very, very fat John Candy and want everybody to look and see what this man who just 40 years ago was considered way fat.
Award-winning John Candy.
Mm-hmm.
I got a picture.
That's pretty big John Candy right there. It is.
That
You know, Uncle Buck era, that kind of stuff. That's
Yeah, right before he died, he got about to the size where you see motherfucking 20-year-olds roaming around at that point in time. Like, you look at it, most of John Candy's career, like all these ones right here that you're scrolling by, the non-Uncle Buck era, he's not that fat. He's definitely fatter than, you know, your average person, but you're not anymore. That's now he's only like the fucking like 30th fattest person at any given Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you remember when how huge Roseanne Barr was, and now you see her and you're like, and she was never that giant then. You're just like, our perception of what a giant fat person is so skewed now. And this bitch, she still takes the cake. People are still like, the fuck? You need harpoon, lady.
So she has the expectations that her life will be the same as other women with different weights and different abilities to lift objects.
John Candy would have made fun of his fucking rolls hanging over the sides of the chairs and cracked everybody up and had everybody laughing about the whole damn thing. This chick's like, well, the LGBT crazy fuckers get special accommodations. Why not my whale of an ass? Like, this is just like this fucking lady that lives up top from us who, like, once a week has to have the fucking emergency services come drag her out of her house so that way they can take her to the hospital and get her food and get her a shower. And then she immediately wants to go home but can't actually walk or do anything. So she ends up just in the same position. And every week, yeah, she took the whole damn bakery, you damn straight, ate the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, if all you're used to is having your cake and eating it too, you're going to assume that everywhere you go, there's going to be a steel reinforced sectional couch for you to fucking sit on. And you're going to be pissed when somebody doesn't have that for you. Like, the entitlement is like mind blowing. Dude, I watched this thing right out the gate. This 7:05 in the morning is when I rolled this clip. And I'm just sitting there fucking stunned, man. Stunned. Like, people look at you when you go outside like you're a fucking freak. People used to pay money to go see people that look like you at half your size because you're a fucking circus freak. And that's why I look at you that way. You belong in a fucking sideshow.
Guinness Book of World Records. Each
And
year,
you're
you flip to the fattest man and woman and see if there's a different picture in there.
You're obviously not a good rapper because now you've gotten that chance. You've gotten that moment of fame. And so I haven't heard a single person go, well, yeah, she looks like a fucking walrus, but she raps like a motherfucker. Like, haven't heard a single person say that.
Ooh, I have something for this too. Hang on. I just gotta reload the thing.
Oh, shut up. Cat fights.
All right. Yeah, it happens. It does. It does. Yeah, here we go.
Rap is not what it was meant for anymore. Rap was meant to scare white people, and it doesn't anymore. Like, in my rap used to, when I was growing up, rap was, don't make me kill no motherfucking body in here. I'ma shoot 3 shots. Somebody done make me hot. That's a fucking rap song. A rap song used to be, what's the difference between me and you? About 5 bank accounts, 3 ounces, 2 vehicles. Until my death out Bangladesh, I suggest you hold your breath till ain't none left. That's fucking rap. That ain't rap no more. Now rap is cush roll, glass full, I prefer the better things. Bitches with no money act like money and everything. I'm having a good time. Y'all just trying to ruin it. Get the fuck out of here, man. Like, I like my Kush roll and my glass full. That don't make me special. Wheelchair Jimmy from Degrassi. Oh, you know what I mean? And I'm so grateful Kendrick came out West Coast beating the brakes off that bitch. Pop, 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 pop. I love that shit. I'm not gonna lie, every fucking morning when my kids and I are riding to school, we're listening to the If This World Were Mine every fucking day. My daughter's in the back seat going, Roman numeral 7, babe, driving like it's hot. If this world was mine, I make your dreams, I make them multiply. If this world was mine, I take your enemies in front of God, introduce them to that light, hit them strictly with that fire. Fire, 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 fire. Woo! I'm just like, fuck yeah! And like, I'm like, you babies ready to have a good day? They're like, fuck yeah, Dad. I'm like, hey.
Mine was a heavy metal group. It was Let the Bodies Hit the Floor with a bunch of gorgeous little long blonde-haired girls just getting it.
Yeah. We ran the spectrum. We did. Some days it was metal, some days it was stoner doom, some days it was old school hip hop, some days it was, a fucking like half drunk barefoot guy with a guitar and a harmonica. That wasn't me. That wasn't even me. It was somebody else, Yeah.
I seriously just thought it was you. You're like, well, yeah, I know you play music, but I don't know why you're describing it like this.
Speaking of which, if you are interested coming and hanging out just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, April 4th through 6th, we're throwing a party at Teresa's farm. And April 4th is going to be a co-birthday party with me and Ryan Christian, Last American Vagabond. We've been talking about doing this for years. And we're finally, had like everything aligned. So we're going to do it like Willie Nelson's birthday, where everybody that we know that plays music, that's in the same kind of like, community that we are, comes and hangs out and plays music. And yes, come hug Anna Mares. Yeah. It's now going to be a selling point. You get to hug up on Anna. But yeah, camp out. It's an 18-acre farm. She's got a big ass barn with a stage in it. There's a whole bunch of bonfire pits around the property, stuff like that. We're live music on Friday night, live podcasts and live stand-up comedy on Saturday. Charlie Robinson, Scott Armstrong from Rebunk News, trying to get Megan Walsh there. No, had Megan Walsh on the show this week. And after we wrapped, we talked a little bit more about the thing. And she's not that far away. She's just significantly under-resourced. But gonna be a whole bunch of cool motherfuckers out there. Stand-up comedy from Brad Bankley from the Propaganda Report. Leonardo Joni, who's been like getting huge lately, and not in the way that we just saw that rapper lady, but in terms of the acceleration of her career. And Sam Tripoli is going to headline. And then Sunday morning, Teresa does Cowboy Church, so we're all doing Cowboy Church, and then we'll have another live podcast or two, and then get the heck up out of there. Yeah.
And Sam is hilarious. I have seen Sam live. Very good show.
Oh, his last special that he dropped that's called Why Is Everybody Getting So Quiet is great, man. And that's a great title for your comedy album. It really is, man. Like, yeah.
So who's getting quiet?
If you're trying to do Sam's particular brand of stand-up in, for example, Schaumburg, Illinois, one of the worst places in the face of God's green earth, the Schaumburg audience is going to get really quiet when you start saying things that hit a little bit too close to home. Tampa, which is usually a decent place for comedy. And, honestly, man, every time I've been there, it's been fun. But like Tampa audiences, sensitive. The people are a little, it's been weird, dude. When I was in Vegas, I was at the comedy club like 3 nights a week. Sometimes 4 nights a week, something like that. It's just I don't gamble, don't drink. There's the things that Vegas appeals to for most people did not appeal to me. You know what I mean? It's just, but I love watching live stand up. And I love hanging out in the middle of fucking nowhere where the only other living being is my dog. So the desert was really cool. I enjoyed all of that. Gomez and I would go out to the desert as often as humanly possible. And if we ran into somebody else, it was like,
Here.
Right? Right. This is my time. This is my time. But the comedy club was a way to interact. And my co-host during that era, Pasta, was friends with a comedian named Brett Ernst. Brett Ernst is absolutely hilarious. If you've ever seen the show Cobra Kai, he's on it.
Oh yeah, which one?
He's Uncle Vinny. Uncle Vinny, Uncle Louie, something like that. I don't know. I've watched maybe 10 minutes of the show.
I watched a couple seasons. It has the 80s cheese. Like the way the 80s, they didn't really try hard to make things overly real. They were really, they were very cheesy with things. It was more play type acting where it was closer to like an actual play where you over emphasize things. So it had some nice 80s cheese. I went through. Yeah.
He's Uncle Louie or Cousin Louie or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. No, and from Ernst, I found out that like Ralph Macchio is a hell of a human being. And when they're doing all of the interior house scenes for that guy, that's his house. He keeps it as low, the production costs as low budget as possible to pay the actors maximum value. And like he has a complete reverse Hollywood approach to the show and what they're trying to do. That's why he put it out on YouTube in the first place.
Well, he kind of really never did anything with his fame. He just kind of he had a couple movies before Karate Kid, but really after Karate Kid, he didn't do anything. He just kind of walked.
Yeah. It's
interesting.
Did he start out on Happy Days, Ralph Macchio?
And then the first big movie was that was Outsiders. The one with, where it was like all tiny short guys.
The Golden Pony Boy.
The S.C. Hinton novel. Disguise your gender between the S and the E.
And oh, dude, the whole cast: Tom Cruise, Rob Lowe,
what a weirdo that guy is, man.
Emilio Estevez. Oh, dude, I saw Rob Lowe in an interview one time though, and it was hilarious. He was like, somebody asked him why he doesn't do anything anymore. He's like, what's the point to being famous anymore? Everybody gets in trouble over all the things that were, like all the things we could do that were the benefits of being famous. You get in trouble for now. Fuck this shit.
Rob Lowe had fantastic fucking roles in Californication and Thank You for Smoking.
He was in Parks and Rec as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. I think he
was a sex symbol back then, like the boy toy sex symbol type thing, real skinny type thing. Remember he had that one movie where he delivered pizzas and it was the pizzas was like he was like a hooker, like a male hooker.
I didn't see that. I didn't see
Was
that
Rob
movie.
Lowe in Wayne's World? I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I guess so.
He was number 2 in Wayne's World.
No. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking Austin Powers when you said number 2, and I was like, that was definitely not Rob Lowe.
Who does number 2 work for?
Sorry to bother you. Maybe the best movie ever. Although I would present a strong case for Jones Plantation. I would.
Where can we see Jones Plantation?
Tubi.
It's
you
on
watch
Tubi.
it for free on Tubi.
Okay. Tubi TV, Jones Plantation. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just hanging out with Drew Treglia, who directed that movie on Saturday. He showed up for our UFC commentary.
What is it about the West Coast here that makes dudes so tiny and so beta?
But it's not. You live in Humboldt, dude, where there's all kinds of giant corn-fed motherfuckers from like milk fucking drinking.
They're not giant. I'm bigger than most, and I'm fucking a tiny dude where I'm from. Like I go home and I'm immediately reminded that I'm small.
2 sizes of California. Okay, 2 sizes, and I'll grant the ones that I'm talking about have faded away. I'm blaming Asians for this. I'm blaming Asian pussy for this 100%. But yeah, there are some giant motherfucking men, especially in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Like there's some big ass dudes there that are just a size or 2 human above you know, me, you, stuff like that. And we're not small men, we're not.
No, I'm an average. I'm slightly above average height. I'm well below average weight, but that's just because we're a fat fucking country.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in the range that I'm supposed to be for my height for body.
Yeah, I think readily available Asian pussy and also the availability of 5 foot tall senoritas, kind of
right. Because look at that whole list that we just listed of Hollywood people. Rob Lowe's a giant among them, and I don't think that dude's even average height.
No.
Like, fucking Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise, like all those dudes, fucking
5'5", 5'6",
yeah,
5'4",
tiny ass dudes, and that's just the way it is around here. Like most of the dudes I know in California.
Does it have to do with cool?
Well, and Greg legitimate. Greg is 5'7", 250, and he's like that dude's in the gym all the fucking time.
Yeah,
he's yoked out.
He's one of them fucking guys that's 5'7" wide, also, huh?
Yeah, I think it has to do with sports cars. The bigger the guy is trying to get into a tiny sports car, it looks ridiculous. He's too big for the car. If you're a smaller guy like Tom Cruise, you can get into a cool car, real nice, and it just fits you. It suits you.
I saw some video yesterday. I saw some video yesterday of some dude that was like 6 foot in a Lamborghini. And the people next to him were making a video because it looked ridiculous because the dude's like shoulders were sitting out above the it was a
they're made for Italians.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a Lamborghini. You know, these fuckers are 5'2" all day long. Of course they can fit in that thing.
Yeah, and then these dudes are making fun of him on the video, and he looks over, he's like, it's a Lamborghini, and he takes off, because they're like, you're too big for that car. It looks ridiculous. He's like, it's a Lamborghini. Like,
yeah, then you're a fucking ridiculous looking douchebag in a really expensive car. Take a lap.
Yeah.
Fuck. Get a pickup truck. Be a man. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Fucking A right. Fuck a Lamborghini. Play that video out of the Telegram, Marcus. This is a truck. This is manly.
Oh. Yeah, it won't have audio because StreamYard won't let me play Telegram audio for some reason.
You can download it.
I
mean, I can, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna pull it up.
The audio, you just imagine a large diesel engine and crash.
Just like a vroom sound.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Let's see. Here we go. And then present.
This was what I was doing right before the show.
There we are.
And sometimes people ask why I got chains hanging all over my truck. This is why. This is the kind of shit I'm doing all the time.
I don't see any snow there.
No, the snow's gone.
Green, okay. There's a tree. It's levitating. Did you do a Harry Potter word on that tree?
Yes, I am doing the Jedi.
Pulling out of the swamps of Dagobah. Is there a X-wing fighter or UFO that you're collecting?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to save the UFO. No, that's just good madrone, and I found a couple nice dead madrones, and obviously yanking them out of the forest, and then we unhook the chain. We'll just back the damn truck up and go saw it up and load it up. Beats the shit out of fucking doing all that and chucking it out of the forest. But you don't look ridiculous at all when you're 6 foot driving that.
I don't think we're doing that.
No.
If you've ever listened to Blunt Force Wisdom, I have been explicit in detail about my man hammer. I have, but I don't think this is the show for that.
Yeah. No, we're not doing that. Just laughing at the dude that spent $500,000 on a Lamborghini.
Right.
And think it's impressive.
Right. Yeah.
Drives
and I will say up front that I don't have a punishment dick, but it's a strong contender. It is. Yeah.
I do white men proud.
Yeah. Yeah. It fully in the BWC community. But yeah. Not freakish.
But that had nothing to do with my dick. It has to do with pulling firewood out of the forest. Which is just something I have to do a lot because we burn wood here for heat.
Mm-hmm.
And I like being warm-ish. We're never really warm here that much.
Well, I mean, dude, it's you can roast that. You can roast the house out really quick. And then it just becomes, now you went from freezing to sweating in 45 minutes and you've got to open doors, stuff like that. And yeah, dude, it's
Ryan and I'll just leave. We'll just go out and find something to do. Like when Christy cooks sourdough bread, because she has to get the stove up to 500. So she puts dry madrone in there in the middle of the day. And you're like, you're sitting here and all of a sudden you're like, and I'm leaving. And I'm going outside. I got something to do. I don't know what the fuck it is yet, but something.
You can't stand the heat in the kitchen, so you get out of there.
Mm-hmm. And the cutting the firewood isn't the man hammer. That's the man glitter. That's how I get. That's how you smell nice. And my wife likes that. She likes it when I smell like fresh cut wood and have wood chips in my beard and she prefers it when I have wood chips in my pockets as opposed to hay. Normally I'm hay pockets, or also I'm old school army, so I flick the cherry off my cigarette butt and stomp that out and put the butt in my pocket. So
dude, my ex used to get so fucking pissed about the fucking half pack of field strip cigarette butts in my pocket coming home from work every day. Yeah.
Chris hates it too.
Clean it up after yourself. That's good. Good
response.
Right.
Now I only smoke cigarettes when I'm at Ben's house.
Well, and it's something you can't. It's like a lifelong thing. Like when I was in the army, if you got caught flicking a cigarette butt on the ground, they put you on what they call asshole and elbow duty, which means that you went over in the areas that civilians hung out in, because them fuckers do that all the time. And you literally, only thing that they want look over, they want to see your ass in the air and your elbows doing this, assholes and elbows, because you're picking up cigarette butts the rest of the day because you threw one cigarette butt on the ground. So I just don't do that shit.
Yep. I mean, and you shouldn't anyway. You really shouldn't. It's okay to be a grown up and clean up after yourself. It is.
Leave it better than
in fact it's probably a very beneficial thing.
Yeah. Just try to empty them out of your pockets so your wife doesn't have to run them through the washer and aluminum. Ooh. Yeah.
Well, neither is Ben. And I have seen.
I am super married. Like
Yeah.
I don't even I don't even give a fuck about nobody else or nothing else in any way, shape, or form.
Right. Yeah, he's been like that ever since I met him. I'm serially monogamous as far as that goes too, like terminally. Yeah.
I'm not like all high and mighty about it. Like when I was younger, I cheated and I've been cheated on and I did the cheating, and you know what? All of it bad. All of it bad. None of it, all of it's just really fucked up. And I'm not gonna say, act all high and mighty moral, but you know what? I have a super good relationship and I like that a lot. And you know what? Both Steve and I have been in that percentage of guys that got more than our share. And the thing about that is at some point in time, you realize that like it's not really that different. It's not like one of them's magic. Nobody's got like you take off somebody's clothes and harps start playing and little angels start flying out, anything like that. None of that shit happens. So at the end of the day, the person that I trust the most, that is on my side, that truly cares about whether I'm happy or not, and the loving mother, the one that takes care of me, that's the one and so nobody else is going to fill that. And the thing is that kind of relationship, that's the Fidelity Bank and Trust, and you make a deposit anywhere else and they close your fucking account. Mm-hmm. It's over.
Question for you guys. Before the stream, I was getting into a little bit of the so-called male loneliness epidemic, and a guy who's writing a book about how to raise men to be, men or whatever. And the problem he discovered, maybe kind of manufactured to be a problem, was that literature from the last few years didn't really have strong father figures. So he made this suggestion, and you guys can tell me if there's pros and cons to this. When he's reading to his sons, like bedtime story type book, he'd replace the mother character with the father character in a story to his son. So he would, in the story, read the story to his son, and then make the mother character the father character. So correcting all the language in the story to make it appear as if the mother was the father.
I'm not entirely sure I'm following.
Yeah, I was waiting for the rest of it. I don't know if you're taking a pause. I was waiting for the punchline or the.
Well, I'll add to it. I'll add to it. So this guy, pathological. If we were going to get into Freud and psychoanalyzing this guy's life, he basically maybe a runt of a litter, a smaller guy, and went to school, got into a fight, and lost the fight. Okay. So all bloody and bruised, comes home to his older brothers and his mom, and expecting to be hugged and bandaged and stitched up and given chicken tenders and ranch dressing and love and attention and support and all the focus. Instead, he found out that
he was a girl.
They were angry.
Right, that's what I'm hearing.
They were angry at him.
Guys don't get that shit. They're like, oh, you got beat up. It sucks. Learn to fight better.
Well, they called him a coward. They were ashamed for their family name because now he's a coward and he got beaten up. So
that's what I would have gotten too. I would have got told learn to fight. In fact, the first time my stepdad and my uncle, the neighbor boys started some shit. They saw it and they were acting fully out of line. And my uncle, my mom's brother, he leaned down and he's like, and if you come home with your ass whipped, I'm whipping your ass too.
Yeah, so this guy identified he identified different parenting styles and noticing that fathers, when they had a daughter and a son and they needed help with homework, the daughter would always get help with homework. Yeah. The son would be told, this is on you. Figure it out.
Boy.
Figure it out. Do some extra reading. I'm not going to do the homework for you. But the father would then provide more emotional support to the daughter to help her along the way. And he saw this as being an issue in raising men that would have consequences in men's life later on down the line.
How does he not see
in
that?
terms of like you not winding up half a fag or like what? I don't.
Like and what I'm not
still lost, man. I'm still
if there's
lost.
anybody that's going to have consequences, it's the infantilization of women. You know, who by the time they reach adulthood, they're still held to a non-accountable level because they've always, you know, somebody's always held their hand the whole time. So I don't understand where he's coming from with this. Like,
and so I'm asking myself this question now. Does this author believe that erasing fathers and men is going to improve the quality of men later on?
I mean,
that's kind
from
of what
the way
he's
that
doing.
you've laid it out, that's what it seems like his position is. But, I don't know the author that you're talking about.
Also, hold on, but he started out also with his mothers and his sisters also didn't suckle to his little feelers because the world doesn't do that for dudes. So I don't know how cutting the dad out is going to make that better.
No.
Right. So his frustration with not being accommodated to at a time when he was seeking accommodations, comfort, and type of things, this led him to a life of continually wanting boys to be treated just like his sisters.
It sounds like he wants to be a fat black rapper.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And another comedic bit, I saw him in a Zoom call on a YouTube video, and he was using his wife's name and her pronouns under his Zoom, so he hadn't changed those.
See, and I honestly, and this isn't even a joke right now, I honestly believe that most men that go, you know, into the tranny thing, that is the problem, that they had a very domineering woman in their life and that they think in their head women are the powerful being. And so that's what they seek, to be the powerful being. So that's why they imitate always the very obnoxious asshole woman. It's never the loving mother type. It's always the shithead woman that everybody runs around and serves and caters to. Well, that is a powerful figure when you stop and think about it. Like, it's not powerful in the classic, she's going to use force, but she gets her way more than other people. Look at the fucking fat rapper bitch. She's got dudes fucking running over, grabbing her fat ass a fucking love seat just so her flops don't fucking flop over the fucking edges of the chair.
Yeah.
How many airplane tickets you think she has to buy?
Oh, at least 2, if not 3. At least. There's no way.
How does she make it through the body scanner?
Well, no, Eddie Hall makes it through. I watch Eddie Hall's because I find that dude fucking hilarious. Okay. He is Eddie Hall is the you know, when you're that large, you can have a complete humor about yourself because who cares? Like, nobody's going to actually fuck with you. And that dude is hilarious. And he has to get 2 plane ticket seats. But then he complains, and I'm sure she would too, because obviously, if you're sitting in 2 seats, where the seats do this is right where the crack of your ass is. And that's not exactly a soft spot. So you're like a floss in that fucking plane seat.
Right. So earlier we were talking about what a conservative is, and what is the opposition to the conservative?
Well, classically it's liberal, but
sure.
I don't even know anymore.
And were liberals the ones that were trying to accommodate for more people in culture? So that was kind of their platform for a long time, is they were saying conservatives are bullies and they want you to do everything on your own, and some people just cannot do that on their own. So has that idea kind of run its course, and that's kind of where we find ourselves in 2025 to say, you know what, don't be a coward, don't run home to mommy and your sisters and cry about it, like figure it out, get back to work.
So you can do, like, you can get your ass beat and you can run home crying about it, but if the only thing that happens afterwards is you get coddled, then you're always going to be a coddled child. If somebody doesn't sit you down and go, okay, this is how you make a fist.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you throw a punch. This is how you block a punch. This is how you duck. This is how you move. This is how you stand in the phone booth and square up. Like it's okay to get your fucking shit stomped. It's okay. Everybody's gotten the fucking shit beat out, or hopefully everybody's gotten the shit beat out of them.
Wasn't shaped like this originally.
Yeah, no, me either, man. Me either, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay to get beat up. What is not okay is not learning how to defend yourself, not learning how to stand up for yourself in that kind of shit. If all you are is a perpetual victim, you're only going to be able to dispense victim ideology for the rest of your fucking natural born days. And there's so many people, especially like late 90s into the 2000s and on, where the fighting was terrible and you can't ever get in a fight and all this kind of shit, and like participation trophy bullshit and all that kind of stuff, where everybody's a winner and nobody's a loser here. Fuck that, dude. Maybe you're a fucking loser and maybe you can do something about it. Maybe you can maybe if all you've ever done is get your ass beat, maybe there's a fucking way out of that if you put some dedication into not getting your ass beat all the time.
Either figure out how to fight, figure out how to be funny. Lots of guys, that's how they became comedians.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't fight worth a shit, but hey, they made jokes and diffused situations. That's you figure it the fuck out. So you're not good at track and field. Instead of getting a participation trophy, go do something else. Maybe you're a good carpenter. I don't fucking know. Figure it out. We all can't be good at the same thing. And you know what? Here's the other problem that they did during that era is they told everybody they can be anything. And that's just not fucking true. Yep. It's just not fucking true. You know what? I'm never going to be an NBA star. Had I spent every fucking day of my life trying to figure out how to dribble that basketball, the best I would have ever gotten was Cheech and Chong. Like, basketball judge. Like, I was never going to be good at basketball. I can't jump. I don't have the requisite skill sets in my body to be good at that. And
now I want to redo that song with Alex Jones as Ozempic Jones.
Nice.
Ozempic Jones.
When my daughter
Ozempic Jones. Yeah, dude.
Got the Ozempic Jones.
Semi-glutides.
When my daughter played basketball, and I hated basketball, and she'd make me drive. I'd have to go drive her to these fucking basketball games. So my revenge for that was playing songs like that, and I'd play that and then just sing it as badly as possible, and she would just lose her fucking mind. She'd get so mad. And I am sorry to address that question or that comment earlier. I'm sorry that good women don't get treated right. Mm-hmm. That I don't disagree. There's nobody harder than me on how weak men are and how pathetic they are. And that is like when I talk about, I know a lot of people immediately point when I say, like, I think women shouldn't vote. Not that I think that they should be second-class citizens. And my wife's my best friend, and like everything, like my life would be horrible without her, and her life, and I make sure her life is fantastic because I love her. That's what you do for people you love, especially a lot. And of course, I take her feelings and her things into account. At the same token, in situations where decisions need to be made, a lot of times her immediate because that's what a woman does. Her immediate reaction is emotional. And then her immediate reaction is she wants to make everything feel okay. And so she won't let the rough parts of the situation ride themselves out for a better situation. She immediately tries to just tamp the fire down. And so that's not good decision making. And that's okay. Again, people do need to feel okay, but somebody also needs to make the decisions. And so it's just a role thing. And neither one is they're symbiotic with each other. So I'm sorry for the women that have to go through that. Again, one of the reasons we started this show is to work on fighting like the red pill, because we want to offer men an alternative to understand that you can be manly, but also not be this high school fuckwad that's like, yeah, I just fuck bitches and drink beer and blah, blah, and I don't take no responsibilities. You know, like there is other options to being a manly man that people look up to. And in fact, nobody looked up to that guy ever. That jackass was always a jackass. It's only this generation of extreme feminization that makes that seem like a decent alternative, and it's not.
Yeah, and I think that's what Anna's alluding to here, which they turned the new generation of women into the men in the family. And what it's like a 60, 70-year project to destabilize the family that's culminated in like this whole like stud class of women and shit, where they're dressing like fucking 1990s gangster rappers and treating the women that they hook up with like they're a 1990s gangster rapper. And it's never been anything that's getting pushed culturally is in service of destruction of the family. And that's where a lot of these problems have their root in. You know what I mean? It's really fucking hard. And I'm saying this as somebody who's, you know, raised and raising sons. It's really hard to raise men these days. It is like the shit that you have to fight. I remember, dude, he was maybe 10. And my son came home and he was like, I want to go hang out at so-and-so's house. And we're going to cuddle with the homies. And I was like, that sounds like some gay shit. No, you don't get to do that.
Cuddle with the homies.
It's something that was being pushed through the fucking school. We're like, yeah, you go have a cuddle puddle with your dude bro friends. You know, and I'm like, no, how about you go fucking shoot your BB gun and fucking I'll talk to you in an hour. How about that? Because you got chores anyway. So no, that's not going to happen.
So he asked you because he felt it was kind of a weird thing, and he wanted you to say no so we could tell his cuddle putty. I can't even say that.
I hope so.
Dudes. Right.
I hope so.
No, my dad says I can't do that.
Yeah.
My dad says I'm not allowed. And
I guarantee you, if he would have asked his mom, she would have been like, "Oh, sure, honey, that sounds great."
Oh, didn't you have some graham crackers?
Should have been like,
do you guys have clean pajamas to wear?
Right?
You need more pillows
for your cuddle puddle party.
Right?
Like,
do you need snacks? Let's go get snacks.
Yeah.
You know.
See, this is where one of the tropes that I'm seeing that's very interesting, where they're trying to remove men from the children's lives, and I think that there's too much female activity in especially boys' lives. That women should not be teaching boys how to be men. That's fucking ridiculous. Like,
I'm not going to teach anyone how to be a woman. I'm not going to teach anyone how to be an astronaut. I'm not going to teach anyone how to be a fucking astrophysicist or any of that shit, dude. I could teach you how to be a carpenter. I could teach you how to be a roofer. I could teach you how to like half-ass work on vehicles and stuff like that. I can teach you a bunch of $3 words you're never going to need or use, but I'm never going to be able to teach anyone how to fucking be a woman. Why and we know why, and we're discussing why, but like we're at the point now where we need to examine why are so many women trying to teach men how to be men. They've never had. I thought it was all about validating your lived experience.
Yes.
Well, if your lived experience is as a woman, the fuck you doing trying to teach my son how to be a man? That's my job.
100%. And then don't interfere in it. Don't get in the way. Sometimes when things look rough, and they are rough, That's the way boys thrive. Boys aren't like girls. Girls do good when you can cater to their feelings and make them comfortable. Boys do good when they are stressed hard.
And have to solve a problem.
Yes.
Have to overcome a challenge. Have to go through adversity. Have to get their fucking teeth kicked in every once in a while.
And if they have to team up to do it together to conquer a challenge, that's how friendships are forged.
Mm-hmm. And then boys are extraordinarily competitive with each other. And that's a good thing, because that's what makes them strive to be better. It's not a bad thing. It's not toxic masculine. It's what makes
happened
boys.
One time, Jordan. One time. Out of all the times that I was on the road.
It was a good one, though.
One time, and it was a good one. It was. Yeah, no.
I don't know why they're masculinizing women, and
I agree.
And the thing is men hate it, and these women actually were to this point now where this is actually where the cat joke thing is coming in, because no dudes want a boss bitch. No, they don't. And these women eventually do want a family and do want, because that's what happens when you start getting older. All those things that were really important when you were a kid, they fall away, and all of a sudden your family and your the future start becoming more important to you. So I don't understand why they've done that. It's a very self-destructive path. I don't understand it. I do understand where some of the women are drawn to it. I do get that. They've seen the really domineering, shitty men do this, and that they believe that because these men have monetarily, a lot of times, because they have no scruples, succeeded. So they see these men as icons, that that they could be that kind of thing. But the thing is honestly, like I said, in this era where we've been hyper feminized, the 80s jackass that's being glorified. But that's not what most men want. Most dudes don't want to be like that. I wouldn't feel cool treating my wife like an asshole. Like, when my wife is happy and smiles, that makes me happy. Like,
and that's not like happy wife, happy life. You just acquiesce and let her run fucking your entire scenario. No, dude, it means, you both wake up in love with each other, so you want to make each other's day better. And sometimes that looks, completely foreign to other people. Sometimes you're going to butt heads. Sometimes you're going to get into fucking arguments. It's because you're two different people, and you are coming at it from two very different perspectives. But if you love each other, then the focus is going to be on getting through it and no longer being mad at each other, rather than trying to like run somebody down or win points in a fucking, the boxing match of words or whatever. It's about coming to a point of understanding, moving past it, and getting back to the part to where you're both naked and her boobies are pressed up against you. That's it.
So we started talking about executive orders and presidential leadership and federal government type stuff. Have any of those executive orders, any sort of documents or speeches led towards a result where our current executive officer, chief, what's his name? Leader of the military, commander in chief, that guy.
Donnie John?
Yeah. Has he done anything to say, I want to help families have access to mortgages, to buy houses, to raise children in?
No. So the executive orders have been reversing the previous executive orders, and then absorbing non-government offices into the federal government, expanding the size, scope, reach, and mandate of the federal government. And at no point has there been a single thing that's been done that has either increased liberty or made it easier to raise a family. Not that I think the government, that should be the role of the government. I don't think that should be the role of the government.
Right.
However, it's being marketed in a way where you have to kind of make that point to push back. And look, dude, if you guys want to have like a cuddle puddle tent in Tennessee, that's fine. That's fine. At the carnival, you go do your own thing, man. I'm not here to tell you what to do. If you want naked cuddling in Tennessee, by all means do that. Please do that. Don't. I bet I'm gonna be too. It's gonna be with one person, and we're gonna be somewhere else.
And the puddles are gonna be the part you move away from.
Yeah, you don't want to roll over into that. It's not great. Yeah.
That spot sucks.
It's a third eye circus on an olfactory factory.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only cuddle puddle I'm doing, which isn't even like, it's not like dudes were scared to touch each other. Like when I was a wrestler, because they didn't accommodate us. We were usually sitting on the ground somewhere, so you just lean your back into your buddy's back, and that way we both had some place to lean, and that wasn't weird. But laying around and cuddling with other dudes, that's now you've broached into weirdness. Like you didn't just like walk up to the line. You obliterated the line. You went to a gas station way down the road past the line. You're there getting drinks and shit. Like, no, you way too far with that. Way too far. Like I'm from the Midwest. It was hard for me moving to California because everybody here is all huggy. And like especially when I first moved here in the Midwest, we've got the Klingon war zone. Like, why are you in this range? If you're in this range, I'm either gonna hit you or hump you. That's one of the two options that you have if you're inside of that zone. Like around my whole body. Like there's no reason for you to be there unless you want to do one of those two things. Right. Yeah. and I moved here and everybody wants to get right up in that zone. And you're like, why are you?
No, hey, no, dude. I know I've been in too many fights for you to be this close to me right now.
Let's exchange words first. Let's not exchange kisses on the cheeks.
My old boss, Blue, it was from like northeast Pennsylvania hill country. And he's made out of like gristle and post-traumatic stress disorder from an abusive father, and fucking like it's just and I remember him telling me, like when I first moved out here, people would call me brother, bro, and he'd be like, I'm not your brother, I'm not, we're not family, and like that was and he's 20 years older than me, he grew up in a different, all that kind of shit, but like it took him almost 30 years to like just go ahead and accept being called bro. You know what I mean?
You have entered an area of familiarity, sir, and you do not belong there.
Yeah. Why are you getting so familiar with me, man? I don't even know your fucking name. Why are you calling me brother? Like that was his mentality, and that's just how a lot of us grew up.
Well, when he says Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania was well known for having the Dutch. And see, if you ever read Germania, now I understand that the Dutch are not Germans, but that's today's name. The people of that area, which was Germania, when Tacitus wrote about it, he said, I don't think these people even like each other. Like they get together once a week to eat and trade food, and then they don't talk. They go off. They live way away from each other.
And his last name is Dietrich.
Yes.
So, I mean, he looks like a little tiny German Santa Claus. That's just put together with like tendons and fucking anger.
Yeah. And we don't like people touching us. Like Christy's best friend is this little sawed off, like 90-pound, 4'11" chick. And she was coming up to give me a hug, and nothing in my brain understood that was what was going on. So I start backpedaling to get out. And fucking, I think I'm still just in her way. So there's like this little nook that I can sidestep and let her by. So I sidestep, and this chick comes in and just goes in and gets it. And literally, when she puts her arms around and hugs me, I go, ugh! Like she just punched me or something.
Bad touch.
Yeah. And everybody starts laughing at me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that probably was a little ridiculous.
Okay, that was a lot. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it though, man. I do. I 100% understand.
Diplomacy.
I need a grown up. Where's my up?
Need an olive branch first. Let's exchange gifts and words.
Yeah, let's know each other for like 10 years.
How about a fucking handshake? Maybe.
Well, you were talking earlier about the horizontal DNA transfer, and I was going to bring up the idea of mononucleosis, or even like, I wouldn't say gum disease, but maybe just the cause of cavities. That might be the debate we want to get into with the dental thing, but just mouth biome exchange amongst family could be good. A kiss from a mother could be healing and balancing and helpful. From a father, maybe, but from strangers, it could be a strange thing. Now we're talking about Valentine's Day and the cure for the male loneliness epidemic.
Probably got some legitimacy to it, that the mother's saliva might have some kind of healing qualities to it. That's probably got, yeah, just like breast milk. That you put breast milk on like pink eye, things like that. It's supposed to be just a magical. That's really probably got some validity to it.
Right, and then people who buy the Listerine and they get the color, the blue or the green color, the mouthwash, and they just continually use that 3 times a day just to kill everything in there. I mean, there's been some studies linking that to heart conditions and other indigestion and whatever. Who knows what the numbers are actually saying? But the argument about not over scrubbing yourself, not using too much more soap than necessary. This type of thing.
If you're a man in a gym squatting just a bar, stop. Just stop.
Oh man.
Sorry, Marcus.
No, that's right on. It's like going to the gym, sweating. It's like if that's the only place in your life where you're sweating, what kind of a comfort life are you living? If the only time you have to plan on your day planner to go and lift heavy things and sweat.
I go to the fucking feed store and they hire these kids, all these guys in California, and you watch these kids get fucking manhandled by a bale of hay. You're like, oh, that hay bale just whooped your ass, bro. It fucking walked you, man. Like, jeez. What's even going on? Don't get me wrong. These are some pretty big 3-stringers. So
sure.
I would be hard pressed to grab 2 of them and carry them, but you can't carry 1? The fuck is your problem?
Not with glamour muscles. Core strength or glamour muscles.
These 2 guys were doing it and they each grabbed one side of a bale. I was like, and I even said it. I was legitimately said it out loud. I go, I've never seen that.
Bending at the knees, doing the team lift together.
Yeah. I looked over there. I've never seen that.
That's funny shit, man. That's good. That's good. Yeah, no, I would love to have a couple of different like holistic dentists and stuff like that come through and have a conversation with them, and that would be interesting. It would. And everything about modern dentistry is just Civil War era dentistry with fucking more expensive equipment.
My teeth don't look all pretty and stuff. I haven't gotten them all, like I got the browning on them from having artesian water when I was a kid and smoking, but I've only got 3 fucking fillings in my mouth. Like, and I'm almost 50. Like, fuck all that. And I don't go to the dentist or nothing. I do have
dude, the Smothers Brothers were awesome.
The Smothers Brothers were great.
I don't know if you guys realize like how incredibly talented the Smothers Brothers were, or how subversive they were. Like the Smothers Brothers put out some of the most like in the fucking paint anti-war content on television in an era where that was really unpopular. The Smothers Brothers put their fucking necks out on the line in a way like very few other, quote unquote acceptable television acts had done. Those guys are fucking legends, man.
I loved their show. I'm just at that age where there was a lot of black and white rerun shit going on when I was a kid. And Smothers Brothers and Mr. Ed were 2 of my very favorites.
Hee-haw, man.
Oh God, hee-haw. Oh God. Christy even makes fun of that because like where she's from, Carol Burnett was the thing, but where I'm from, everybody watched hee-haw.
Do you know what a fucking genius Roy Clark was?
Yes.
On the fucking like, and not just the guitar, but that dude could play anything with strings. I mean, we're talking about a legitimate virtuoso. Okay. Have you guys ever seen Roy Clark on The Odd Couple?
I have, yeah.
Probably as a rerun, yeah.
Let me, and we're gonna go. Hang on. Let me get to the good bit here. There we go. All right. And this is, standard Mexican folk music on the front end, but it still requires a significant amount of talent to do. This is, again, the guy from Hee Haw doing this, not Oscar there, or Felix, or whichever one that is. But
Favorite Mountain Dew. No. A nice classical thing. I don't
want to hear anything classical. I want to
Mountain Dew.
Wait. Could I do something for myself?
Idle.
That climate. And that's why Roy Clark was infinitely better than Les Claypool.
Right? Well, you can imagine a 12-year-old Les Claypool watching The Odd Couple right at the slap pop part going, I wonder if I could do that.
That slaps. That slaps.
That slaps right there. That does. We're Primus and we suck.
We're taking a hard stance against Primus.
No. I actually love Les. I do. I've been to Rancho Relaxo. I've eaten at his restaurant.
We're just joking around. How can you look at Steve and I and not assume we enjoy Primus? I'm honest.
I
We're
was
in that greasy demographic.
Every once in a while on the pre-show tunes for AM Wake Up, I'll pull up like Tommy the Cat or something like that, throw that out there. But I also, I'm a
got a big brown beard.
fan of Tom Waits. When I say I'm a fan of Tom Waits, I went over the line a couple of times. I did. I like stalked the dude.
Oh,
for a minute. He used to hang out at this truck stop diner right outside of Petaluma, California, and I found out about that, so I waited there for like 3 days until he showed up, and then I went and sat at his table.
George McGovern used to eat regularly at my buddy's diner.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, he had quite a few conversations with George McGovern.
Nice.
Yeah. He just had this little roasted chicken diner type place, just make truck stop type food, basically, and roasted chicken.
Did he raise his own chickens?
I sat down at Tom Waits' table, just totally fucking unasked, unoffered, anything like that. And he, looks kind of surprised that there's some random fucking gutter hippie sitting down in his fucking table. I'm like, hey man, I've been to your recording room. And that's how I opened the conversation. And he was like, about the recording room? Yeah, buddy, I do. The first time I met Les, and then got the invite up to the Rancho, Tall Toad Music in Petaluma, California. And I walk in to go buy a couple of guitar strings because I'm playing guitar on the street for money. I'm singing for my supper. This is in my vagabond era. And I had a broken string. So I went to go replace it. And fucking I walk in and I hear the most insane noise. And I look over in the corner and it's Les beating the shit out of a fucking Martin 12 string. And like, I've seen this dude in concert a lot. I know what he looks like, and fucking, I buy the strings. He gets in line behind me to be like, hey, wrap it up. I want this. I want the guitar. And I go outside.
Down, Les. You can fucking smack around on some other guitar and beat it like a cop's wife.
Right? I walk outside. I light up a cigarette. Les walks out with the guitar. And I was like, hey, man, not trying to be a fan or anything, but I appreciate the music. Thank you. And he was like, really? I think we suck. I'm like, dude, you don't got to fucking do the marketing thing. Like, I'm genuinely appreciative of what you guys have done. I'm again not trying to be like fanboy or anything like that. Just thanks for what you put out there. I do appreciate it. What the fuck are you doing here? And he was like, I'm waiting for a ride. 1976 78 Ford LTD comes pulling up and Tom Waits unfolds himself out of it and looks over at Les and fucking goes, did you get something shiny? And Les is like, yeah. He goes, put it in the trunk.
All 10 fucking feet wide of it.
Dude. like an 8-body trunk in those things, man. And yeah, and they hopped into this thing and fucking drove off. And I'm like, why didn't I hop in the trunk?
They wouldn't have even noticed.
They wouldn't have.
You could have fucking had a little fort in there for fucking just taking a little bit of groceries out their grocery bags. Fucking lived in there almost infinitely.
Yeah, and that's not true. I moved to Sonoma County for pussy, and that didn't work out.
One specific or just in general?
No, one specific, and that didn't work out.
Sure.
But I'm glad it didn't work out, because then I wouldn't have got back closer to my kids. I wouldn't be with the girl that I'm currently with. Like all that shit was, yeah. The move to Sonoma was incredibly significant in that my life became infinitely better after I got away from that particular pussy. Yeah,
that does happen.
Yeah. So even when you're wrong, you can still be on the right path. Being wrong about a couple of things doesn't mean that you're not heading in the right direction. It just means that you have misaligned your priorities. I think, maybe. I don't know. Oh man. And look, dude, I'm never gonna say a fucking unkind word about like any of my exes. You know, that you're never gonna hear me talk shit about anybody that I've been with. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm grateful for the fact that I, got brought back from Vegas to California. I am, and everything that fucking happened
right before I go to Vegas, though, the timing could have been better.
Yeah, it could have been a little better.
And fucking Jimmy Brent died. Like both the dudes I knew in Vegas, fucking, I'm like, cool. I know a couple people I want to visit in Vegas. And then you left and Jimmy Brent died. I'm like, I don't know anybody I want to visit in Vegas.
Dude, what a
no reason to return to Vegas.
What a weird place. I still I miss being able to go see live stand-up comedy. And there's nothing fucking better than the stand-up show called The Dirty at 12:30 at the South Point Casino every Friday at midnight 30. If you're ever in Las Vegas, go to the South Point on Friday night and go see some fucking live stand-up for free. Get there about an hour early and just be grateful that you're there for that experience, because it's awesome. It really is. Ain't nobody making you drink, ain't nobody making you gamble. The only thing that you're being made to do is laugh, and that's because the people on stage are funny.
I can't remember where we went and saw Sam. It was somewhere in the Bay there.
Well, if you want to see Sam Tripoli do live stand-up, and also camp out on a kick-ass property, and also see other people do stand-up, and also see, a bunch of your favorite podcasters play music together, come to the Third Eye Carnival.
There'll probably not be any gay cuddle puddles.
Okay, I can't guarantee that, but
I said probably.
Oh man.
It won't be officially listed on the schedule of events.
Movie. Is
that the one with Nicolas Cage?
Where he's such a fucking drunk.
He
can't even cash a check.
Yeah.
That's with Elizabeth Shue in it.
Yeah.
Is that Elizabeth Shue?
I think so.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch movies with Elizabeth Shue for a number of years because my ex-wife looked so much like Elizabeth Shue.
I dated a fucking chick that looked just like Drew Barrymore, and I wouldn't. I had an ex that was
slick.
Not into.
Mistakes are okay.
Yeah, they are. How the fuck how's that even a thing?
For participation, I agree with that statement.
Yeah, mistakes are rewarding price of participation, but that's how you learn.
Yeah,
that's how you learn.
I agree.
It's unless you purely subscribe to the Bob Ross philosophy that there are no mistakes, just happy accidents.
You know what? None of us achieved Bob Ross level. That's why Bob Ross was Bob Ross.
I had a bandmate back in my Colorado days who wrote a song called Bob Ross, and it's fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a great song. I like.
Also, Bob Ross was not an electrician, so his the happy mistakes when you're an electrician, they do not feel near as good as the smudges on his painting. Just throwing that out there. Not all the fields had mistakes are as happy. Just saying.
Yeah,
I have caught myself on fire and electrocuted myself a couple times.
Right.
Great.
Right. Yeah. No, mistakes are nature's way of fucking showing us that we need to be more educated, more aware, more diligent. We may need to learn. Yeah. Like it's, yeah. No, the mistakes are the only way you fucking get through it. And I said this the other day, I'll fucking say it. I'll die on that hill, dude. I demand, this is why I only do live shows. And I really don't like doing recorded content. I demand the freedom to fuck up. Without the freedom to fuck up and fuck up in front of people that are going to hold me accountable, I may have a completely unearned sense of entitlement. I may demand that Charlemagne the God bring a fucking couch for me. You know what I mean?
That's why I keep myself covered in 6 different kinds of shit. At 5 different kinds of shit, I will start putting on airs. 6 though, humble.
Well, I mean, this is the psyop that was the Grateful Dead taught me about the freedom to fuck up. They taught me about we're gonna do it live. Way more than Bill O'Reilly ever could. The ability to have these conversations, in front of people, but also then when we do it at the carnivals and stuff like that, literally in front of people, really does it not only keeps you grounded, but it adds an extreme element of humility to it. And if you're not approaching this shit humbly, then you're approaching it in vain. And I can't fucking stand the vanity driven mainstream alternative media shit, dude. It's repulsive to me.
So fake.
That's where we kind of started the conversation even before the stream was going live. We were talking about, professional podcasters.
Hell yeah.
And then the editors that make them in the edit room, where there's software called Descript, where all of the recorded audio is transcribed to text, and then you edit the text like you're editing a novel.
I just got some toxoplasmosis slick just for you.
Yeah, but no, I mean, look, dude, I reserve the right to fuck up, because how else am I going to learn?
Every and and error or interruption gets edited out in the final mix, and it's like, well, that's not how conversations ever occur. So even listening to some of these overproduced things, like something called the telepathy tapes is really, really popular. And you listen to that and you're like, well, this is so shiny. It's like they're selling a worldview or an idea. I can't be trusting of that.
Well, life doesn't work that way, dude. You fail over and over and over. Go ahead, Ben.
When you do that, you don't leave yourself room to grow. So that when that position, we all kind of feel like our show with GLO was on that map, where GLO was more red pill, but had moved out of that realm and was starting to have a disconnect between some of the things that he had picked up in that realm. And that's fine. That's the way a person should be. You do something for a while, you take the pieces out that are good pieces, you let go of the rest, and you move on. There's nothing wrong with that. But absolutely, when you start identifying into something, that's what they call a zealot. So you don't have your own personality outside of the ideals of this thing that you've signed up for. And zealotry is always just a bad thing. And I'm talking about you, Slick Dissident, with your hatred of cats. It's, you know what? Cats' lives matter. I don't have toxoplasmosis, Slick. You hateful son of a bitch.
Toxoplast masculinity. That's funny. That's fucking funny.
Oh, fuck. Oh, shit.
Oh, no, but I mean, look, dude, nobody's ever gone through life unblemished. Nobody.
Oh, you just started to blemish. Your audio started to robot just as you were talking about it.
It was trying to emphasize your point, Steve. It was emphasizing your point.
Are you a youth pastor?
And like Steve was saying, one of the things that I enjoy is one of the things as a public speaker and going to events and whatnot, one of the first rumor I ever heard about myself that everybody was spreading around was that I personally am high fidelity. Like what you thought you were going to meet when you saw me on the internets, that's the dude you met. Like, I'm not changing myself. I'm not trying to act any different than I'm always going to act. And that makes it super easy for me because I just get to be me. That's super easy.
Yeah. And I've had people, hopefully I'm back and I don't sound like a robot.
You are.
I've had, people say the same shit like that, when we met in fucking 3-dimensional space, I was the same dude that I am on the show. Because I am, dude. I only know how to be me. I don't know how to be anybody else. I do some character voices and shit because they're funny. But, I'll do that in Ben's living room. And actually, I'm probably funnier in Ben's living room than I am on the air. I probably am. Because I'm more comfortable.
Are you holding back just a little bit?
No, we have to be less stoned. In my living room, you can be so stoned.
Okay.
And Marcus is also exactly who you would think he is. That's just a fact.
A man of mystery.
But yeah, dude, and that's what the whole like Third Eye Carnival thing is supposed to be. The only people that are going to show up to be on the panels are going to be the people that are consistently them wherever they are, no matter where they are and whatever capacity they're supposed to be there. You know what I mean? So like we're intentionally not inviting people that present as opposed to be. If that makes any sense.
It does to us.
Yeah.
Like the ones that are telling you that an easy example, they're preaching to you about health, but then you look at them and they aren't healthy at all. You're like,
yeah.
You should maybe start getting high on your own supply before you preach with it.
Thank you, Anna. You're fucking rad. Dude, no, Anna's awesome too, man. It was cool to meet her back in Pueblo last year. We're running it back this year too. 4th of July weekend, Pueblo, Colorado, Blowback Gallery. 2 days of live music, and that's the Pueblo thing's just music. It's all music and live podcasts, and it's all genres of music. And we opened it with some like singer-songwriter shit, and we closed it with a fucking gutter punk band, and they were like hardcore punk band. It was great, dude. They were loud as fuck, and they had like a giant fat black lead singer, and fucking these dudes go out and they do like mutual aid all day, every day, with and fucking help feed people and shit like that. Like they're actually punk, like old school punk about it. They're like a living embodiment of the whole food not bombs mentality, and that's really fucking rare in the music scene. They're called Terror Attack. Go look them up. They're on Instagram. They got shit all over YouTube. And I hope they come back this year. I hope they do. It'd be fun.
I was writing down the recommendations of things to listen to watch. I think we mentioned there's a movie, Jones Plantation, on Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some filmmakers or people involved with that we might want to reach out to? And
well, Larkin Rose wrote the movie.
right.
And Drew Treglia directed it. The Twitter account Legal Man is a dude named Lee Gallman, or it's at US Crime Review is the Twitter account. But Lee Gallman, Legal Man,
okay.
is one of the stars of the film. It looks like on the front end, and just a run of the mill, antebellum era slavery movie. Very quickly, it takes a turn, and you understand that it's a description of our current political system and government. And it is very, very well done. And for us, some of it will seem heavy-handed, but if there are people in your life that need a nudge, that I couldn't think of a better way to do it outside of forcing people to watch T. Snyder's Conspiracy Synergy series. Like those, if anybody has people in their life that need a little bit of a push, conspiracysynergy.com or Jones Plantation. No better way, in my opinion, to like open up that conversation. And peace be with you, and all that kind of stuff.
Larkin's in the Passiow community.
Passiow's in the Larkin community because Larkin had already done time before Passiow had done a live stream.
Well, however you want to put that, I've got some connections in the Passiow community.
I fuck it's Passiow's Passio. Dude, he did great. He's done a lot to help a lot of people have more complete picture.
Network. So we'll put it that way then. He's in the One Great Network. I know some people. I've got connections in the One Great Network.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know 4 people, a couple of his main guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've had Larkin on. He'll be on again soon because they're putting out a movie called Barnum World very soon.
About the animal crackers?
How to contact him.
Yes, it's all about animal crackers, 100%. Charlie Robinson's in that movie. He's the narrator.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like a little community's growing up and making real movies.
Right? Well, and Charlie owns Activist Post now, too. I keep trying to I think about this shit a lot, man, because there's people that could have had very, very different lives if they just would have leaned into the life that had been prepared for them. And they made conscious decision after conscious decision to go a completely different direction that would make their lives significantly more uncomfortable for them, but better for people they're never going to fucking meet. And Charlie Robinson is one of those dudes. Yeah. He should, by rights, just be a wealthy real estate magnate douchebag with a fucking media company that teaches retarded, illiterate professional athletes how to talk on camera. He should be. Instead, he's the host of Macroaggressions, the host of Anarchapulco, and just bought the Activist Post. Yeah, and that's fucking
Charlie Robinson's the one who does Anarchapulco.
Well, it's Berwick's party, but Charlie is the MC for the last 2 years or something like that.
Is Archaic speaking at that this year?
I have no idea.
Berwick's got a dog, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, his famous dog passed away, and I think he has a new dog now.
Okay.
Yeah, But yeah, and Berwick's a pirate, you know, not gonna pretend like he's not. But I mean, shit, dude. High diddly d, you know. Fucking
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've watched these people over many years doing their thing, and for them to continue doing it, it means they've sacrificed a lot of, comfort and other cushier jobs that they could have taken, and they could have been paid off, and all these types of things. But for them to keep doing it, well, there's some love in that game, love and respect.
Yeah. No, people shit on Berwick all the time because he's a used car salesman about what he does, but you don't become the dollar vigilante, and you also don't become a fucking, crypto billionaire or whatever.
Right.
Without doing some
that I saw that was going to be speaking this year. That's right.
Who? Oh yeah, no, Stu Peters is there. Yeah, there's some fucking limited hangouts at Anarchapulco every year because it draws people in.
Sure, but also,
if you put me on that bill, nobody'd show up. You put fucking Stoopy on that bill, people are going to show up because they know who he is.
So our conversation just a few paragraphs before, we were talking about authenticity and live speaking engagements. It's a good thing to have people show up to events and let them talk. Just let them talk and listen to what they say. And the more they talk, the more you listen over a longer period of time, then you've got more information to determine if you want to continue listening or not.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see who's been consistent and who's been shaped over time. We started talking about Whoopi Goldberg and how...
Leave Jimmy Dore alone, man. That's not fair.
I was going to talk about Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi
Goldberg?
Right. Is she everyone's mom? I don't know how she got groomed to be in all these feel-good family films.
I don't tried to be that Murphy. Total just her whole comedy bit was that she was just a fucking blown out drug addict, and everybody was just like, wow, look at this blown out drug addict. Like her bits weren't even particularly funny. She was just like pointing out that also rich people were also drug addicts and blown out basically and shit like that, and telling people how it is in rehab and shit like that. Like her comedy wasn't particularly funny. It was, if you've lived that lifestyle at all, you're just like, okay, well, that's just.
And now she's the loving grandmother on The View.
Well, she's auntie on The View. It's nothing but grandmothers as far as I
apologize for being ageist in this comment I just made.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think I would think that Joy Behar would be like the Jewish grandmother. Whoopi would be your black auntie. And then I don't know who else is on the show. But yeah. And this is a fantastic point here by Joshua Cromley. Like this needs to be noted here.
Read it word for word.
Is it Barbara Walters? Is that her name?
Bob Walters.
No, What the fuck's that?
She's long gone. She's long gone. You're thinking about The View from when Norm Macdonald went on there and told people about Bill Clinton being a murderer. It's a different cast at this point. So Josh says, as Spock would say, it's only logical. Anarchism means since I don't want to be ruled, I don't want to rule you. Hypocrisy means though I don't want to be ruled, I rule you. We live in an era of unmitigated hypocrisy. Yeah. We do. Anarchy has never been no rules. It's just no rulers.
I personally have moved well beyond that. I don't see that is a functional system at all. Not in our, maybe if we had a different society entirely.
Yeah.
But this society that we're in, most people want to be ruled. And as I study the more I study historically, the more that's the system all the time. And I know that in Hollywood, they try to make it out like the people in the lower class were always abused. And I'm sure that there were instances of that. But I honestly think a lot of people are just, that's the way it is. You know, as I've lived life and been a business owner and a landowner and things like that, I've noticed easily that there's some people, they really don't want to fucking make a decision for themselves.
Yeah.
They want somebody else. They'll go put in their part, whatever they're told to do, and then they want to go home. And when they get home, they don't even care that much about, you know, having a fancy home or making progress or anything like that. They're just not like that. They're just content. And I don't see why that's a problem. And we've in society told everybody that everybody's supposed to be a rock star and everybody's supposed to be the big star. And that's just not the way the world works. And I don't know that it ever has. I don't know that there's ever been a time where everybody was completely capable, like they had main character energy. They got up and were self-sufficient. They had drive, they had purpose, there was something to do, and they got to choose who did it. And the entire society was like that. I've never seen an example of that.
Well, you're never going to see an entire society of, you know, like quote unquote alphas or whatever. That's not going to exist. Having said that, almost all of every single human being's interpersonal interactions exist under the umbrella of quote unquote anarchy, where you're not trying to implement your force or will over the other person. The other person isn't trying to do that over you through extortion or violence or taxation or anything like that. So the like anarchy is a relationship. It's not a state. And that relationship is, I don't speak for you, you don't speak for me, and at no point are we going to monopolize violence in order to prove a point, unless you're a total fucking dick. And people are dicks. Sometimes that happens, but usually, you know,
there's going to be a dickhead in it.
That's
just how it is.
You can work through that more often than not. So as a concept, you know, I don't speak for you, you don't speak for me. I'm not gonna pull out my gun and shoot you because we have a disagreement. You know, we can choose to walk away, we can choose to go about our business, and we can choose to not associate. And if we're forced to associate, like so many people have to do when they go to work on a job site with that one fucking prick that nobody can fucking stand, but everybody has to go work with them, you know, because you got to go to work. You can choose not to turn your work situation into a situation of complete and total discord and violence. So it as a like underlying philosophical principle, I think that it is a very beneficial thing to look at and to try to understand. I understand. I also understand that we live in the world that we live in, but the whole point with the Third Eye Carnival, the whole point with like 99% of my show is that we have the ability to create the culture that we want to live in, as opposed to reacting to the culture that's been forced on us. And you're a living example of that, Balderson. You've created the culture that you want to live in. Very rarely are you forced to react to the culture that's been forced on you.
100%. And I don't disagree with the sentiment Steve has. I fully agree with it, and I personally actually live it out more than almost any anarchist you'll ever meet. But on the same token, just having lived, you know, and like Steve's saying, at the same time, there is still choices. Like even in heathen society, if you ever studied the actual history of it, they talk about different people. There was pride in being with a good clan chief, whoever the Jarl was. And so you were able to move and choose different Jarls. If you didn't like the way this one did business, you could go somewhere else and go live under that system. And that's honestly, for me, that's less catering to a system, just understanding that even if we move to tribal society, this tribe's going to have a certain way it conducts itself. And when in Rome, do as the Romans. You know, you can't come into that tribe, act completely counter to what they think, and expect to fit in particularly well. It's just not how that works. And so, you know, that you just end up having, as Steve said, because Steve's, you know, once you start, when you're young and you're able to do the more fanatical views where you're like, yeah, this one strict, but as you get older, you just start having to implement the world. You're like, yeah, but some people just don't want to do that. You know, some people don't, and that's okay. You can't make those people want, like, it used to be really hard for me because I was adamant about the anarchy, about everybody should be self-reliant, self-responsible, speak for themselves. But that also, in order to do that, includes extreme self-discipline, extreme self-education. That means that every single thing on this farm, I basically have to know how every piece of it works. And that's the reason that when people look to me for the answer, because I have the big picture. But that took a lot of effort and work, and a lot of people don't want to put that in. They're like, you know, I'd rather just go shovel the fucking barn out when you tell me to shovel the barn out and go to bed when I'm done. You know, not sit up all night wondering, you know, planning, plotting, trying to figure out what's going on. You know, not do any of those things.
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, James Brown said it, man. You know, pay the cost to be the boss.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, if that's where you're wired, if that's what you're geared toward, if that's where you're going to be best suited, then yeah, you're going to have to stay up all night fucking concerned about this shit, thinking about this shit, and you're gonna the responsibility of managing people and systems and animals and all that kind of stuff is huge, dude. It's a giant fucking burden. Of course not everybody's suited for that. That doesn't mean that you again have to like impose violence on them to get them to fall in line. In a voluntary society, the person best suited to muck out the fucking, you know, stall is gonna muck out the fucking stall. They are. You don't even have to tell them. You don't. They kind of know. And you're also not gonna make their life harder because they're doing the thing that they're best suited to do. You don't have to run them down for that shit.
Because I don't want to muck out the stall. I'm fucking old.
Right? No,
I
that's
appreciate that.
It's something that all tasks in that manner are, you know, are worthwhile. You know what I mean? Nobody is a lesser person because they're engaged in a task that you don't want to do, or you're fucking, you know, a little bit long in the tooth and it's a little bit harder for your body to do. In fact, you're probably going to be more appreciative of the person doing that. So it's just a way of, you know, looking at the overall management of the system in a way that gives individuals maximum liberty and maximum autonomy. And that's the long and short of it.
So are we taking over Canada? Is that what you're saying?
51st state, baby.
So self-organizing Canadians are going to organize into Americans?
Off of 50, it's time for fucking Jeffersonia. That's all I'm saying. That was your only real excuse for not doing it. We all want it.
I'll make that deal. I'll make that deal with Trump right now. Trump, you can have Canada. Give us back Jefferson.
Yeah.
And leave us the fuck alone.
Yeah. Break us off from fucking California. Let us have our mountain ass state and be conservative. We'll even be like on your side. That's the fucking, like, that's a Republican. This is a Republican state as soon as you break it from California.
Yep.
Like, it's a win for you.
Yep.
You know, like, you're already changing the name of everything else. This ain't nothing but a thing.
So is that self-organizing in actual like counties? So the people move to where they want to be and they move out and then they've self-organized, and now you can just say, well, this is what the demographics are. That's what the border is going to be.
They've got the general idea with it is, and this is, it's very interesting. So everything north of Sacramento, you never hear of on the news in any way, shape, or form. They call Northern California Sacramento and the Bay. But if I leave Sacramento, I can drive for 5 hours and still be in California driving straight north. So obviously Sacramento's not Northern California. They just don't give a shit about anything past Sacramento. And by the by, most Midwestern states, which are larger states than the East Coast by a lot, you can cross in 5 hours. So that's like a fucking Midwestern state.
Okay. Yeah. Indiana's 5 hours top to bottom, north to south.
Yeah.
It's an hour and a half or maybe 2 hours east to west.
So Southern California could decide if they wanted to use ocean water to put out fires, and Northern California could say, we know not to do that.
We have
There's
reservoirs.
not even any connections between us and LA. That's
It's
the
a totally different culture.
Yeah, there's not, but for water, there's not. I don't understand that whole thing. There's two parts to this story, and both parts are lies. The liberals are like, oh my God, he's just using up the water. The lakes that they emptied water out of were at 300% already before snow melt, before the rest of the rainy season. They're at more capacity than they ever see. So that part's a lie. But then the part where Trump makes it out like that water is going to somehow get to LA. How, motherfucker? How? Like Northern California, like we just explained, like when they talk about that they're taking out dams and doing all this in Northern California, that water never had a pathway to LA. There's no pipe, there's no path. That water was never going to go there. So when they talk about removing these dams to save the fishes, these dams that they were removing aren't reservoirs for water in that manner. They were reservoirs to feed these power plants because they used to have a shit ton of little hydro plants all around here. And so they dammed up the rivers in all these spots for the hydro plants. Well, they're removing all those to return the fish flows. It has that water in no way was ever I am 14 fucking hours from LA, and those dams are all north of me that got removed. So there is no pathway for that water to have ever went to LA. It just doesn't exist. So it's stupid. Both sides are stupid.
I got the get the fuck off the show look from the girl. So I'm going to get the fuck off the show. But you guys can do whatever you want to for as long as you want to.
Next week, guys, we have Germ, and we are going to finally have that Bitcoin debate. That one's going to be a big one. We're going to bring some heat. Jaron is probably the most hated person in the flat earth community at this point.
And that's what I'm challenging.
No, we're not challenging.
We're not talking flurf. We're not.
No. I'm challenging for the most hated person on the internet position.
Oh, you're going to try and take the title?
That's
okay.
That's
fucking A right.
That might be one way to go.
Who will be King Turd of Shit Mountain? Tune in next week to find out. Oh man. Well, you guys are all freaking awesome, and thank you for pulling up and participating, hanging out. Love the active chat, all your thoughts and all your comments, except for one of you, and you know who you are. I'm fucking around. I don't even know, but you know.
The guilt will be felt internally.
Right. Yeah. You know who you are. I don't even know who you are, but you do.
Until next Tuesday.
You freaking
when reparations and apologies can be made.
Right. No, we do accept penance. We do. But yeah, you guys all rock, and we'll see you next week for the Bitcoin debate with Jaron.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
Emily Moyer the week after.
Dirty dogs.